Say to door. Please, I only did that so I could stop the kids during school hours. You swore taking that job had nothing to do with it. I was lying. The door, oh, still doesn't work. Point is, that job is all about you. The revolution is all about me.
Okay, you wanna change? I got it. Instead of farm and drink, farm some delicious.
Or some of the beach, you know, the big ones, you dip them into the red sauce. The big ones, bigger and bigger. I'm trying to help your wife. The jumbo kind of stuff, you know, you get them cold, you dip them into cocktail sauce.
Hello, is it comedy?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Don't say nothing. Don't say anything. You don't want to hear. Can I get a copy? Can I get it? Oh, yeah, yes. We're taking it. Hey, Arlena.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, this
Resolution for the, there was already policy.
Can I borrow your agenda?
Oh,
I want to read.
Oh, police can come in.
Very dangerous.
So what I agree is.
This remain. Thank you.
This one. I'm trying to open up the owl settings, so.
It looks like it's 72, but it's 70 degrees. Are you hot? Is everyone hot? Okay. Let me know.
This is, you know, in the original use. There we go. Thank you. I just want to make sure we were finally getting in with the virtual settings. Okay, then we're gonna, and we're starting recording. Yay. Okay.
Look at the wall. $72. It's hot.
It's hard.
Sorry, guys, you're gonna be
Was they going in and turn it down?
70.
Seven.
Good.
It's 70.
It was actually.
I think this might be.
Oh, 70.
It is on Google, right?
Is that really good?
It might not go.
I'm going down. Oh, you, sorry.
Just trying to get.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little. Oh, there, 70. 70.
Okay. Okay, and we have and we're recording as we are, and we'll start with a roll call.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Page.
Here.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Dice.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes,
Assessor Trowbridge.
Here.
thank you. And then we'll go with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, then we'll go with public comment. We'll start with inner circle with the people.
I'd like to make a motion to limit public comment to 30 minutes. Anyone who'd like to speak after 30 minutes can speak at the end of the meeting.
Okay, and so we're looking at the clock at 7. What is that, 7:39? And so we're gonna start with and we have
Would you
the,
like a second?
second and a vote. Sorry, thank you, trustee guys. Any second?
I second a 30-minute limit.
And any discussion? And then a roll call vote.
Trustee Dice. Yes. Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
No. Okay, moving forward. The public comment, and I'm just gonna put right here so we can see everything. There's an application for making sure that we have this all annotated and just making sure that it was right here. And then, of course, it would go away.
The Collins, do you have to read the public comment after the audience comment? Is there?
No, I don't, is there, I do
They're
not
not
know
here at
any
the time.
law regarding that.
Because they're not here to time.
I just got a text from somebody on Zoom that says that the audio is really, really poor, that they can't hear what's going on.
Okay, so I'm not sure if the person in red.
No, no comment at this time.
Okay, and then the
Jenny.
Supervisor Hewitt, we asked Clerk Collins to read the online comments first.
okay.
Does that count with 30 minutes of our?
That doesn't seem right. We're all here.
I mean, what if we have like a?
So we usually do this going in person first. So does Mr. Farrell have anything? Just
No.
because I want to make sure that we have time for everything. And then
I don't have any.
Ms.
comments.
O'Connell, and then Mr. Wildfear.
Yeah, this should be very, very quick. I'm not representing anybody. Not tied to anybody here. I'm not here because I'm homeless or because my TV doesn't work. I'm here because I think all of us nationwide, federally, statewide, internationally, in township, should be interested in what's going on in civic life. And I just want to mention something I spoke about the last time I was here, which is simply the format that we use here to me is very, very distasteful. I can speak now, and then after that, we'll basically go compliance. I'd like to be able, at the end of the meeting, to be able to engage in perhaps a limited time, let's say 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't want to stay on midnight or past midnight. But to have a chance to ask questions about what the board has done, said, and is doing. Because without that, my coming here, it makes me nothing more than a steep one. So I'd like to think about changing that so that we as residents can actually understand what the board is doing, why, and answer questions that we. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway.
Yeah, looking at the agenda, there's 24 items on the agenda. God knows what time you'll get out of here. God bless you for staying. I'm sure I won't be staying for the whole time. Number 19 on the agenda is discussion and possible action on a no confidence vote on the supervisor. How petty can you be? I want to know who the supervisor murdered. This is what I want to know.
I agree.
The fact that this is on the agenda is, and I started out, I was gonna read some of the things that have been done. I highlighted some because there's 8 pages, and some stuff is mundane and some stuff is consequential. And I know that the supervisor initiated or carried out almost everything on here. One noticeable exception was the tutoring, which trustee McGovern, she initiated, I know, and God bless her for doing that. But this is, to me, it's ridiculous. I'm not gonna read all the stuff I highlighted. I highlighted stuff out of that sheet. But that's all I gotta say. I'm beside myself at this waste of your time and your position.
Mark, you have plenty of time. if you want to share.
Anyway, thank you, sir. And then next, Ms. Quigley.
Too quickly, Lisle resident. The meeting rules for this township seem to be made to be broken or ignored. It would be efficient to use the rules to trim down these lengthy meetings. Who has the floor? Does anyone wait to be recognized? At the special meeting on Thursday, August 3rd, frequently many were talking at the same time. On Zoom, or if you're watching the YouTube videos, it's hard to know who's talking, and many interruptions make it even more confusing. The amount of time wasted by interrupting and asking questions about the tiniest details to find anything to pick at is ridiculous. At one point in this meeting, the supervisor asked for a motion to be made for the next agenda item, but was interrupted by the highway commissioner asking questions and making comments, so the discussion was started without a motion and a second. Then some act as if it was the supervisor's fault. At the July regular meeting, the highway commissioner talked about confidential discussions that took place in an executive session closed meeting. This is against the Open Meeting Act rules. The township clerk then demanded more than once to know how the supervisor planned to vote on an issue. There was no motion being voted on, so this is out of order. The clerk's responsibility is to record attendees, business that is being conducted, motion seconds, ayes, nays by voting members, not to selectively ask one member how they might be voting. I really hope tonight, instead of nitpicking my public comment and anyone else's, you will all review the rules and act professionally and efficiently conduct real business and get it done. Tonight, you're approving some June and July meetings. There are a few typos and issues. June 9th, there's a duplicate phrase in section 8. There's a typo in section 10. Offered the meet should be offered to meet. July 12th, typo section 6. Manage Wolf should be manager Wolf. I'm trying to talk fast so I make my 3 minutes. And a typo in the heading says discussion and possible action or township meeting rules. I have a feeling the or should be by, on, or of. July 18th, section 7, adjournment. There is no adjournment time. It's missing. Thank you for allowing my public comment in person here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then next we have Ms. Smith. And then okay, and then Mr. Brubaker, if you have anything.
Right. As you consider item 19, the no confidence vote on the supervisor, consider what the supervisor tried to save you from. Tried to save you from embarrassment of purchasing a building. for which you relied on a decision several years old, arranged by a previous board, made in a very different real estate market. The purchase you did not compare with any other existing facilities as to cost and particularly functionality. A building for which you had and have no plan how or when to utilize 2121 Ogden Avenue address for badly needed township services, particularly for those residents who are food insecure, disabled, and senior citizens. Building for which you made no attempt to obtain estimates for remodeling from a brewery, where beer is manufactured, not just poured, as one trustee tried to claim in the August 3rd board. And a building whose cost, with no foreseeable benefit to township residents, has made it more difficult to support staff trying to improve basic services. Sure, you put yourselves in this position, and you cannot blame the supervisor for her good judgment of not supporting this purchase. You really should have been more attentive to details and not wasted taxpayer time and money pursuing the wrong solution. Think about that, because at this point, there are few who can have confidence in you. Rather, you should be looking inward to improve your own performance.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, Christine. Hi, I'm Paula Dean Garcia. I'm here with my Lisle Township Food Pantry Vegetable Garden hat on today. I just wanted to give a little bit of an update. I don't know if any of you follow our group, but we are probably in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I've done about 200 pounds of fresh produce for the food pantry. And that's really good. The bad thing is that it goes really fast. And so I'm asking whoever is doing the food pantry to maybe look into searching out other sources for fresh produce. I know Justin DuPage, which is out of the sheriff's office. They have a garden called Hope's Garden, and they have lots of fresh produce that they have offered to us. So that's something that maybe we want to check out, because I know by sometimes the afternoon, the produce that we picked has completely gone. So something you want to do. I also want to thank the board, the supervisor, for the new planters, because I think they've really increased their yield, and they have about a 25-year guarantee. So that's going to be 25 years into the future. So I'm very excited about that. So that is it. So I just want to say that thank you to all the volunteers.
Only one correction, 491 pounds.
491
I
pounds.
just got done adding it up today,
Okay,
from June 12th till today, 491 pounds.
yeah, and it's been a great deal. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia, and then Ms. Browningham.
Thank you for letting me follow you. I'm Debbie Bryan. I am the Senior Program Manager at the Lisle Park District. So I'm here on a completely different topic as well. I wanted to come tonight and tell you how pleased I am and thankful that you hired Terry Caraballo as the Director of Senior Services. There's been such a need for her services in this community. And while I know that the Lisle Park District has a fantastic senior center and a great program, we focus mainly on recreation. And since Jim Vondra's retirement, there's been such a gap in services in our community for some of the most vulnerable people in our township. And, you know, I've been doing my job for 23 years. And I mean, I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve, but I don't have all the resources. Terry has been a breath of fresh air for me and for the residents of this township. She comes with such a database of knowledge. And I mean, it's just shown in her short time that she's been here. Her first lunch and learn she had in this room, and people attended, and it was great. The last one was yesterday, and it was busting at the seams. She ended up holding it at the Park District. She had 30+ people and people just chomping at the bit. And I was curious because I thought, well, let's see who's here. Because, you know, I think I know everybody in Lisle, and, you know, And so I was standing there, I don't, there were seniors, I don't know where they came from, but that shows me that we need more people serving our seniors, and Terry is reaching them and she's getting to know them. And I just want you to know that there's enough seniors for all of us to serve them. And DuPage County is there, and so we need more resources. These people need all of us. They need Terry, they need me, they need Ruby. We all are reaching them and communicating with them every day. So please, keep supporting your services, your seniors, because it really does take all of us to serve this community. So thank you for bringing her aboard and supporting her, and together, I think she and I are gonna really, make an impact. I know Ruby and I work together. We talk all the time. We're talking shop out in the parking lot about our equipment and so I just thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And then Mr. Adams?
No.
And then Mr. Spiegel?
Yeah, I will be brief for many reasons. First, if I recall correctly, all the trustees, and I don't know, other members of the board indicated a wish for police presence at these meetings. If you are going to advocate for that, please make it in terms of safety. I have seen breakdowns in decorum in this room. I've seen unruly public. I have not seen anything within a mile of being threatening. We do not need a sergeant at arms with a badge. Okay. The other thing on tonight's agenda, yes, the vote of no confidence. My understanding is that this has no legal or practical significance. If your concern is to put on public record your displeasure with the supervisor, that has been accomplished. Look no further than the graphic that was distributed during the town hall and on Facebook, making it look like the supervisor's plan was some sort of plan B if the vote was not yes. Now, I do not accuse you of trying to fool anyone with that. I merely say it was unneeded. Okay, it was a vote of the supervisor, quite clearly, at least in my judgment. That's all. Thank you.
I didn't realize that there's a backside, so I would like to say something.
Sure, Ms. Law.
Okay, anyway, my name is Jenny Pease, and first off, I want to tell you that I volunteer in the pantry 3 days a week in the afternoons, and they love the stuff in the garden. I love putting it out. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. It's so awesome. And the senior stuff, that is so awesome, because senior stuff is needed so badly. I really feel like our seniors are overlooked. We serve 300, this is not really, these are a lot of the seniors, but also people that are in need of food. 300 families a week are seen in our pantry. And I see on here that you are thinking about replacing Gerald Wolf. I don't understand that. The concepts, and removing operations manager, choose to start. I didn't understand that, I'm sorry. But then on 19 with this no confidence vote, when I saw this, I couldn't even believe that this would be on here. I've been here since October of last year, and I've seen nothing but her working her butt off and doing a lot of stuff. And what you guys both stuff down with the senior, I don't know. I am not that knowledgeable about all this stuff, but I just don't get why this kind of stuff comes up and people stand up with letters talking about what a horrible person she is, like, or whatever, and terrible job she's doing. And I just don't think, if you have grievances, I think you should take them up with her. I mean, she's not gonna go anywhere. If you have a problem, you need to work on it, but I think that's the least of your concerns, and this is a waste of time.
Thank you, ma'am. And then I'm not sure if anybody in the circle was going around and missed a public comment in person. Okay, then public comment, and I'm just going to the Zoom audience. I just want to make sure that everybody in the Zoom audience was seen. Anyone in the Zoom audience not being seen? I'm in like two different ways right now. I just want to like double check that nobody is not being like it's launching, but it's already been launched situation.
It won't let you launch two meetings though. It won't let you do it twice. Trustee Page, you said, you had said.
Sorry, there we go. Is there anybody that is not able to speak right now? Anyone in the Zoom audience that is not able to speak? Please unmute yourself. If anyone is able to unmute yourself. So Dee, Sue, Mark, Robert, Jax, Terry, Alice, Joanne, Linda, John, David, anyone can unmute yourself? Right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that you're all able to unmute yourself. And then there's the public comment that was given.
The first one is cut off. Bernadette's. If you could reprint that. I will read Marianne Vesquez's. It says, I was. Do we want to go? That's a copy.
Listening.
I was literally shocked to see there is a no confidence discussion possible vote on the Lisle Township supervisor. I have been watching the meetings for about 7 months and I literally have seen nothing to warrant this action. I have seen the behavior of a couple of the board members that warrant this action, but not the township supervisor. I truly wish the board would focus their efforts on the needs of the residents of the township. That is what the supervisor does, but instead the board creates a lot of drama directed at the supervisor. The supervisor has made tremendous progress developing this organization. All I have seen out of this board is an attempt to block every step forward this organization makes. Yesterday, I decided to support the township and bring someone in to obtain a passport. I was told by employees that a senior lunch had over 50 people and had to be relocated to another location. In a discussion with a couple of employees that said that they are super busy. After the passport was completed, I walked out of the lobby to find it packed with people, perhaps 12. So with me and my friend, that was 14. If you add the seniors at the lunch, you are looking at 60 plus residents being served in just the hour I was there. I literally watched this board discuss whether all the staff was needed. Seriously? The board was questioning the necessity of senior services, the necessity of supporting the pantry, or even having a pantry manager. Get out of the supervisor's way and support her rather than fight her on everything and put the people of Lisle Township first. That's Marianne Vasquez. And then the last one is from Bernadette Adler. In the short time I worked at the Lisle Township, I've seen Diane change the budget, barely speaking to anybody the whole time she's there. She does not hold herself accountable, but expects everyone else to be. I was told not to talk to anyone at the highway department because they were most likely pumping me for information. Diane yelled and literally growled at me while behind closed doors, and it was so loud that it was heard on the other side of the administrative part of the building. No one deserves that abuse. If this was at any other business, she would have been fired. Her apology came about 2 weeks later, saying that I should be able to get over it. That the Friday that Lisa Rose started, I was training her in the financial department, and Diane said she had to put in her letter of resignation as trustee. So Lisa had already started at Lisle Township before she had resigned as trustee. All of this was going on as my father was dying. The last week of my employment there, my father took a turn for the worse. I, of course, was spending my time at the hospital with him. I received many texts saying that I needed to come in at least for a few hours to continue training Lisa. That was not my priority. I did come in for a few hours the following week after my father passed because I am a good person with integrity. I took a position elsewhere for a lot less money. I thought I was going to be at a job that I would be able to retire at, but the stress and mental abuse wasn't worth it. That was Bernadette Adler.
Any other online public comment?
No, that was it.
Okay. Moving on to discussion and possible action of bill payment of bills through August 9th, 2024.
Well, we went through the process.
So we're going to do a motion to open the audit.
Make a motion for the audit expenditures. Second.
Thank you, trustee Geist and trustee McGovern, and then any discussion? Mhm. Okay, we'll go to roll call vote.
Trustee Geist.
Yeah.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Lewis.
Yes. Okay, then moving on to presentation from MetLife.
Sorry,
No,
sorry,
no, wait, that was just,
discussion. That was open.
that was to open the, just kidding.
Sorry.
Opening the discussion, sorry. go ahead.
The one invoice we had to pull was for Forest Printing Company. It exceeded the authorized approval. It was 21,000 change. And that level of investment needs to be approved at the board meeting. So we need to put that on the agenda for our next board meeting to approve it, and then we can issue that check.
I think we'd also like to discuss the price differential too between the last printing. Because we were unaware.
Because it was.
More, it was about $6,000 more than our last newsletter.
Also, just out of curiosity, since we are a governing body, why are we not securing 3 bids on anything we're doing, just so that we are getting the best cost from these vendors? Just want to make sure that these 2, we need to always go with someone because that's who we're going with. Do we spend $23,000 on that meal or 21?
It's $20,524.
I mean, everyone keeps saying they want printed mailers. We can't spend $23,000 every. We have to really, be a little more time with it. Getting a couple bids for the next printing, if that's, reasonable request.
Any others?
Yeah, there was.
There was one for the check number, I believe Lisa Rose pulled it. It was for 501 and it was
Yes,
for
it's
509,
Okay.
like 590,
We actually have.
$500.01. And the invoice was for $500.09. So we did pull that to
Well,
give an amount.
no,
We just
actually,
tagged it so I could change.
the $500 one was about the mental health board. So my question is, or our question was that this is a mental health cost. We're supposed to be loaning them $75,000. We have not seen any loan papers or anything like that to give them that $75,000. So we're in essence being the treasurer for them. And I don't think we're supposed to be, so we're supposed to give them $75,000. They're supposed to have their own account, correct?
So I looked into this and I didn't think that we needed formal loan documents. If the board wishes to do an IGA, an intergovernmental agreement between the mental health board and this board, that's up to the 2 boards if they want to enter into that agreement. But because the mental health board is not a separate taxing body, you can do it as a separate line item on your budget and levy.
But should we be taking their expenses against our own line items? Because how is that working? Because the mental health board is using you for legal, using printing, like how are we making sure that that's applied to their budget?
Well, they should have their own separate line item.
Right, but we're
So
writing the
that's-
checks, right?
Are
But
we
they have-
supposed to be their treasurer?
They have a treasurer on their board. I thought they were appointing the board themselves
No, they are appointed.
within their board for.
Oh,
treasurer
for
and
treasurer.
to someone to be the clerk. Has that process happened?
they appointed, I'm sorry. Among themselves, a secretary. I don't know that there was a treasurer elected.
Yes,
even-
there was.
there
Joan
was-
DeCanto.
Oh, thank you. But even if there is, the treasurer's duties on their board would be governed by their bylaws, not state statute. So it's different than like that Diane's the treasurer for like the highway department, highway district, because that's a statutory setup. Where this would be governed by their bylaws because the mental health, the Community Mental Health Act does not have a section on treasurer. That's not a position under the statute.
Right, but because there's no actual agreement in place, and I don't know that we have to have a formal contract, but
That's-
some
yeah.
kind of agreement, right? How are we making sure that their expenses are attached to their budget and not coming off of our budgets?
So that would be done on the accounting side. So they would have a separate line item. It doesn't need to necessarily be a separate account, but it would be a separate line item so that when you're entering I'm not if Linda's still here, she'd
Yeah,
probably
she's there.
explain it better.
Which-
Or maybe Lisa could explain it better. But it's just,
Dana,
yeah, go ahead.
okay, there is a separate line item. And anything that's coded to mental health expense is all put into one expense category. So whereas the regular township may have utilities, legal, accounting, whatever the expenses are, that's not the case for mental health. All mental health expenses are in one expense code.
Thank you.
So could I ask, my question is, should the mental health board have their own accounts?
Since they're not a separate federal ID number, then it would be where it would be under, just like it is now with assessor, highway, mental health supervisor.
So you're saying that they should not have their own accounts?
They don't, if you're talking about their own accounts as like with the bank,
Mhm.
that's not necessary. If
But
you're
is that-
asking, if you're using the term account to mean line item or how
No,
we're
not
doing it.
line item. I
Okay,
get
okay,
that. And I
okay.
get that I get that it's being allocated to those line items. I
Exactly.
get that. I also get that whatever accounting is being done here for the mental health board is actually being charged to the township because that's our employees.
It's our staff.
It's right. It's my thought that the mental health board probably should have their own account and run their own finances. I don't know what the law is, and that's what I'm asking you,
So the statute doesn't require that. So but that's additional overhead for the mental health board. I don't know if that's something that, this board wants to require, but it's not required under the act. Under the Community Mental Health Act, they're not a separate taxing, they don't run a separate levy. It's all underneath the
They
township.
do run a separate levy.
They
do.
have it's incorporated into our levy. They're not a separate taxing body.
No, they run their own levy. Am I wrong with this?
They submit their levy to this board, who then puts it all together with the township levy.
Hmm. I thought it was separate.
So we're not approving this. We're not approving the
What's
mental health
this?
board levy.
So we don't have to approve any of their expenses, but we're paying their expenses. We don't have authority over the spend, but we're paying the expenses. And I think we need a better, we don't have to talk about it right now. We
Right.
can table this. But, and maybe, accountant, Linda Nader could help break this down for us, but I do think it needs to be separate, we're defined,
And
And
maybe
they shouldn't be using our resources that are allocated to our administrative expenses as well.
I would just see what the best practices of other communities that
Okay.
have mental health
That's
boards do and see how it's
That's fair.
done.
Okay, is
It
that
does
something you want me to do? You want me to reach out to, because I've reached out to other councils and we've discussed this and
How they handle it, that would be great.
well, I mean, I think that how we're handling it is consistent
I
with,
can do that.
with what I've seen, but if some, yeah, if someone else wants to, okay.
Thank you, though. Thank you for the insight. That
No, no
helps.
problem, no problem.
And then there was another check that wasn't signed, for, I think I have it. There's a $20,000 one. There was one other check, remember, it didn't have, Diane's,
It was the top one.
the very first one.
First.
It was the first
Yes,
one.
we pulled it.
I believe it was the no. I mean, it's right here, we put the tag on it, it was for Republic. Wouldn't have been right. I don't want to mess these up anymore. There's one that needs your signature on it to approve. Lisa, would you mind grabbing it? Because I know you know. So there was a $20,000 one that had no, no approval to be able to be paid. There was the $500 one that we wanted to question about how the mental health treasury goes.
I think there's one more question too, because I didn't see it on the register on the check detail, but there was a duplicate check that we have been discussing. That, is that going to be on the check detail anytime soon, or we're just holding it? It was issued to Mr. Hummel. Was that
So there was,
to be on this check detail?
it wasn't in.
It wasn't.
It wasn't on here. I think the question with the check that went to Stephen Hummel was that he paid it back after it was alerted that he was paid twice to it. But who directed him to, or who directed the township to accept his payment back? Because what we saw was that it was you, Supervisor Hewitt, directed staff to deposit that money. And then we knew that it was deposited, but the board didn't give action to deposit that money.
Right.
When there was a big question about what is going on.
And I think that we had to approve that when the overpayment happened in here. But we had to approve how that money was returned, correct? But we did not approve how the money from Mr. Hummel was returned. Mr. Hummel was issued 2 checks for the same payment. He endorsed both checks were cashed. Both checks were signed by Supervisor Hewitt. When it brought to our attention, a second, he did refund the money, which was great, he returned the money, but there's a process to that. So we need to be mindful of that. We can't just issue checks and then people pay back money in file, right? So,
You can't just direct money to go into the account and then money to
that's
come
why we
out of
couldn't just
the.
take a check back from her. Remember?
Correct.
We had to, because it doesn't reconcile in QuickBooks, like you can't pay out money and just pay money back to the township. So,
And I know the board did not direct that money to be deposited back into the account without any further eyes on
And
it.
we're not seeing it right now.
It's
Right.
nowhere to be
It's nowhere
seen.
right now.
Mhm.
So I guess my question
where
is,
is it?
when will we be seeing this check?
And also that check, it was written twice. It was signed for twice by Supervisor Hewitt. It was endorsed and both checks were deposited in the same dollar amount for, what's the word?
Reimbursements.
Reimbursements. I couldn't think of the word for reimbursement. We're not sure how that happened. And if it had not been brought to our attention by accountant Nader, there wouldn't even have been the opportunity to return the money the next day. So disturbing. It is disturbing that it's not an audit of expenditures because it was a check that was issued twice.
Just as
There's what's going on in this, and there's a lot more to say, and so there's an ongoing investigation. Do we want to continue on in this in public session?
Has it
Or
reached
do we
its
want to
status
go
already?
to executive session, or what is this that we're
So
looking to do?
I don't think there's grounds for executive session.
Okay,
Um,
so
but I do know that the state's attorney's office is investigating,
Right, so it is under investigation.
so.
Okay.
I just think we should
So
probably have a
maybe-
policy that I think just to protect everyone. You know, we probably should not be allowed to sign checks to our relatives or partners or significant others. Maybe we should.
I
make
think
that a
that's one of the
policy.
first things we learned when we sat down to be trained as trustees, that nobody signed checks, that somebody else that you know, period. It's since the beginning.
And we still are not real clear on how the one check was cashed, if it was a locked office, but we'll talk about that another time. The bottom line, it wasn't in the.
It's not in this,
expenditures,
so we are still watching
We
a
don't want to
meeting.
go into that.
Is there a motion
I'd like to
to
make a motion.
One more
move
second.
towards,
What'd you say?
Go ahead, Debbie.
is there anything that is being discussed that is looking for a motion?
We're
Yeah.
discussing what we see on the check detail, and I
Yeah.
was communicating something that we were talking about that I did not realize is at the state's attorney level at this moment is not here. So we still have money that is not recorded on here, but I think we have gone over the detail in full, and I would like to make a motion to approve that, not yet.
I was just gonna say, here's the one invoice that does not have it just needs your approval onto it, the ComEd. So do you want to do that prior to them accepting it? Or do you guys want to accept it without the initials onto it, the ComEd? Supervisor Hewitt, what would you like to do?
There is a lot here, so I am just trying to make sure that we're going through this one by one. Is there a motion to approve, and what are the
Yeah.
exact?
She just wants to approve the check, to pay the bill.
Yeah, I thoroughly understand that, but there's perhaps more than that. Is there anything more than this ComEd bill
Without
that we're
signature.
looking to approve? Anything more?
When we were going through, I answered with signed, signed, signed. So no, signature wise, that is the only one without signature.
So this ComEd bill for 4711 Indiana Avenue for $276. I'm just wanting to make sure that. 254 Are we all agreed that this is the one thing that you're asking me to do?
Well, I think there's two things that they're asking you to do is one is to approve that. If you don't feel comfortable approving it now, just pull it and we won't pay it. That's totally fine. Whatever you want to do. And then the other one was the $20,000 check that would be pulled from this audit till it gets approved for, not even for payment, but to use this company. So that needs to happen before you can even hire them, actually.
Okay, so we're just reviewing this one by one. And so it's forced printing that you're saying that you didn't, you're gonna hold this check for print work that's already gone out. And you're not gonna pay them for the work that they've already done for 20,500. I'm just wanting to make sure that this is,
That's not what we're saying.
because
We
they're,
didn't say we're not paying it. We said we need to discuss it.
oh, so, but you're still not paying it, correct?
We're
They've
not-
already
we're not
paid
paying it
this.
today.
Okay, so that's what we're clear on, is that we're not paying it today, even though this has gone out weeks ago,
This was on.
You hired them without approval from the board.
even though that has all been fully budgeted.
We didn't
It
see the
doesn't matter,
expense.
you have a purchasing policy that says anything over $5,000 needs to be approved by the board. You didn't do that, so they would be really being unlawful by approving something.
So even though they
outside.
fully saw the various editions of the township newsletter for 4 months in advance, that you all saw the various editions. And so you all are now, even after it's been published and sent out to everyone,
Okay.
and you all have seen the various editions, and it was in the previous budget, and it is now in the current budget, you all are saying that that is not all approved? And
That's
this is
correct.
all
Saying
done?
Supervisor Hewitt, with all due respect, we have an approved budget, right? But we had an agreement several meetings back where we agreed no spend over 5,000. You asked for a spend limit of 10,000 and we reduced it to 5,000.
And
And
you
we
all
all
had
agreed.
every
And we
single
all agreed on that.
edition of this newsletter.
We did not have it because my tutoring is not in there. I need two Ts, I need volunteers. I would have said something. I just turned to Jean. Did you see any additions? We have seen nothing of the newsletter. We did not know that it was a trifold or a quadfold, which was $6,000 extra, and it was lacking information. So no, we were very much in the dark. I'm sorry that happened.
And they did not know which company you were using. They didn't know how much it was going to cost. And like trustee Guy said, that maybe it should have gone out for bid, so we could have seen how much it would have been with three different bids.
So, may I speak just real quickly? This is probably very frustrating for the audience because they have such limited perspective on what all of the people at this table have been dealing with. You have your perspective and your limited experience. So you're hearing things that you probably have never heard before, okay? But this is where the nitpicky comments that you have expressed come in, because we have to be mindful of the spend. We are culpable when we sign up on these audits of expenditures. If you come back to us and say, why did you approve the $20,000 spend? We have to be able to explain why we did that. Does that make sense? So that's how we're being accountable. I'm not speaking just to you, we're speaking in general, sorry. So I apologize that this is kind of feels like a little bit of a bomb being dropped. That's not the intention, but it is something we had to discuss. So where are we at? What are we doing?
Well, is there a motion to approve the? Okay. Sorry,
Portion, right? So we'll make a motion to approve the audit of expenditures minus the checks payments that we've pulled for further discussion for the reasons that we've already explained.
So,
Can I
and
answer your question? So, wait, I can't answer the question.
yeah, but I actually want a point of clarification. The two checks that were pulled, one was for the printing, I just want, can we just note the check numbers or whatever?
Yeah.
So it's the ComEd bill and the
No,
printer
not
bill.
the comment, it's the printing bill and the landscaping bill.
Excuse me,
Sorry.
Gus signed the ComEd bill, so I think we're fine with the ComEd bill.
Okay.
I think the only one that's being pulled is the printing bill, check number 50197. Trustee Geist, I think the only one that's being pulled now is the 50197, that's the printing. Supervisor Hewitt
Okay,
approved the
so just the
ComEd.
printing. Okay, perfect, thank you.
That went through yesterday.
So that's the first to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? And then roll call vote, please.
Trustee Geist?
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee McGovern?
Yes.
Trustee Page?
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt?
Yes. Okay, then, moving on to, and so to be very clear, everything was approved from the bill payments, except. Okay, I'm just wanting to resolve number 5. I just want to make sure that we're super clear on number 5, is that everything in because it was not entirely clear in that resolution. Well, if you believe it's clear, then we'll move on to number 6, presentation from MetLife.
I think the audience is still on video.
You want me to restart this? No problem.
It shouldn't be the problem. It, I'm back on. Okay, it looks like we are technologically back on with everyone. And so we'll go with the presentation from MetLife.
Hi, David Strike from Assured Partners. Yep, I was asked to secure a proposal for short-term disability for the Lisle Township. from MetLife. MetLife is your ancillary carrier for dental, vision, and life insurance as well. Does everyone have a copy of the proposal?
The board members should, and you have the full right to share anything you wish in your screen.
Okay, great. Can you see that? So short-term disability replaces lost income due to a non-work related injury, illness, or accident. It replaces MetLife is proposing 3 different options here. All of them replace 60% of the weekly lost income due to disability to a maximum of $1,000. The difference between the 3 options are going to be the elimination period, which is the time before the benefits kick in for accident and sickness. And then the benefits will continue for the benefit duration period here. So looking at option 1, benefits would start after a 7-day elimination period for accident and a 7-day elimination period for sickness. Your benefits would then kick in and continue for 25 weeks. This proposal from MetLife is $705 a month or $8,465 a year. So there are other options that MetLife is presenting as well. So this option here is option 2. Again, replaces 60% of your income to a max of $1,000. The elimination period here would be 0 days for accident. So your benefits kick in right away for an accident and remain a 7-day elimination period for sickness. And then the maximum duration is going to be the 26 weeks. So this is slightly more expensive because we've reduced the elimination period for accident. It's $734 per month or $8,804 per year. And then we have one other proposal. Again, replacing 60% of your income, maximum of $1,000. Elimination period for accident is going to be 0 days, 7 days for sickness. But benefits would continue for a maximum of 13 weeks, as opposed to the 25, 26 weeks in option 1 and 2. And therefore, this premium is going to be less at $595 a month or $7,135 per year. These rates are guaranteed for 24 months or 2 years, at which point then it'll renew with your other benefits. So these are the 3 options on the table. If you guys decide to offer short-term disability, you just have to decide which option you think is best for the Lisle Township. Are there any questions?
Mr. Struck, is that common, 0 days? Is that pretty common practice?
For the elimination period, yes. For short-term disability, yes, these are very common. 0 days for accident and 7 days for sickness or illness. You could extend them out even farther if you wanted to, but these are the most common elimination periods.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, David. Much appreciation
Thank
for all of your help and ongoing work through these years.
Sure.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, then moving on to, and I know Lisa Rose is planning to present the IMRF benefits.
So basically, Mr. Trowbridge pointed me in the direction of IMRF as it already, everybody that has IMRF has this benefit of a temporary disability. And what happens is, it's all pretty self-explanatory on the website, but when you stop getting any payment from whatever you have, either short-term disability, after a month, it kicks in and they will pay you 50% of your salary.
So, generally it starts after a year of service or what, there's like a short-term period of time, but that will kind of dictate what you get for that.
So
So
our
that's
employees are
already
already covered by that?
Yeah. But it's, like I said, it doesn't kick in right away. It kicks in after, at least a month after, after you are out. And I think one of the main things we were looking at this for was we have a lot of younger employees that want to be starting families, so we don't really have a maternity, any kind of like, or parental leave or anything like that can set up within the township for, because we're so small.
Would you be able to overlap them? Like, would you be able to take advantage of the IMRF benefit and the insurance benefit or the insurance benefit?
Right, so you could do both, right, you could get
So
your
you could
short
level.
term and then, after that stops, you can get the IMRF is what I understand.
I believe that they have language in both of theirs, that if they're receiving something else, they have the ability to exclude that.
What's the duration of benefit for the IMRF? I believe we saw 13 weeks.
So it says, like if you had 1 year of service, a maximum of 6 months of benefits may be approved. If you've had 5 or more years of service, a maximum of 30 months benefits may be approved.
So in your opinion, in comparing them side by side, you mentioned that there's, young people who are looking to start families. What would be the con of taking advantage of the benefits that were already contributed?
So I think this would just help with some, it could. I think I asked the IMRF woman that I spoke with, that you could have the short-term disability for a while, and after that that period stops, you can, and you're still out, you can take advantage of the IMRF, but you have to be 30 days, I believe, in between without pay.
So there's still a gap.
There's still a little bit of a gap,
It sounds more like a long-term disability because of the duration.
Well, the pregnancy isn't really disability.
No, but that's all we have really, is it really depends. So that was what the talk was, figuring out the short-term disability for people that may want, like, if they want to start a family.
So it's 13 weeks, which is 3 months, which is like. Right, so that's with IMRF, it's 13 weeks, that's 3 months. So then they could extend another. So really, they could be out of the office for.
3 months, fuller benefits, 3 months happen.
Yeah. 6 months.
Yeah, so if somebody has complications, it doesn't happen. Maybe it's not necessarily.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just trying to think about like what you would have in any situation outside of this scenario where most companies, people are not gonna have the IMRF. Well, no company's gonna have the IMRF benefit, right? I think about myself as an employee, right? So
Right.
I don't have IMRF. So I only have what is the insurance that would be allotted to me. So I wouldn't have potential of 6 months. I mean, it's a great benefit. I think it definitely, benefits are what attract good people and retain good people, so.
That coverage is so important, you really need it.
So are we?
Our timeline for MetLife is as soon as possible. Supervisor Hewitt or?
So the next time we re-up our insurance is gonna be at the next year. So we're gonna be talking about this in October.
Okay. We can probably get a better idea of what it's going to be, right?
Good, yeah, I
For
just
that.
think, yeah, because I'm thinking, yeah. Benefits are key.
But they're already eligible for the IMRF right now. If they need to exercise that option, that's available to all full-time employees right now.
So can we table this so that until after we have the additional information that
Yeah.
you're going to secure? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then a second on tabling that.
I'll second.
And thank you, trustee Geist and trustee Page, and then a roll call vote, please. Or, sorry.
I was like,
a discussion.
there's, because there's not a motion pending or anything pending, there's nothing to table.
Well, we're not
gonna vote on it.
we're not-
now, correct?
Right.
buying it right
Well,
now.
No, I understand that, but there's not, you've just heard presentation.
Okay.
So I,
Sorry.
and then maybe it's a little, yeah.
I think if you're expecting a decision, so that. Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation.
Right, thank you. Next we have, that would be 7 and 8. Next, we have agenda item 9, which is presentation from Otter Beck and thank you, Kelly, and anything that you want me to share.
No, I think we're okay. I think everybody has the proposal in their packet. My name is Kelly Brainerd. I'm from Waterbach. We're accounting firm in Meadville, founded in 1997, so around a long time with a lot of government entities. About 90% of our client base is government entities, including some townships, municipalities, park districts, fire districts. I've been with the firm for 14 years. I'm a principal there in our financial services department. There's 5 departments in our firm, so it's actuary, pension, tax, audit, and then financial services. Financial services, I would say, is a little bit newer. We've been around about 10 years in the firm. We've always done this kind of work, but kind of felt that there was a need to branch off and form our own department. So I was here when that started, and now we have a staff of 50 people in that department, which is great. We have about 250 people total in the entire firm. We, Diane reached out to us for a proposal for some accounting services. We put together a couple different options for services. One is a monthly fixed fee cost, and that would be to do accounting and reporting and then training the bookkeeper. There is an hourly cost in there as well, where there is the third option, which was all the accounting and the bookkeeping. But I don't know if anybody has had a chance to review or has any questions that, like, specifically they would like me to answer. I can go a little more in depth. The monthly fixed fee costs of that would include somebody, as I stated, helping with training the bookkeeper in the current software that you guys are using with this QuickBooks. We do have QuickBooks experts in our department. That would help with the training, and then have some sort of hybrid combination of some on-site time as well as more time. I came from our office today. It was an 11-minute drive, so very close. And this is kind of our bread and butter when we do kind of the hybrid combination is really successful, and we can have that face-to-face time, on-site time, and then also being able to help remotely in the background when any things come up. So.
Just let me set the stage. So I think I misspoke in the last board meeting and said that you were all aware that we're doing a selection of an accounting firm. So I apologize. I had been actively involved, he would not been involved. So we've been using our current accountant to help, and she'll provide the accounting report later. Her current, we've invested about $75,000 since the start of the year, so approximately $12,000 a month for that service. And even more recently, the invoices in the range $8,000 to $10,000 a month. So we've been trying to work to get that a more manageable number. We discussed a proposal that accountant had put in front of us in the April board meeting, but we made no decision to have a more formal agreement. It's really an hourly based agreement with that. And then since the discussion, that accountant's retracted that proposal. So we are still on an hourly basis with that accountant. So, we really didn't have, until we said, look, let's assign someone full-time internally. That was in May, so that we were really still bridging from last September. So when we looked at it, we said, okay, we've got someone, there's a training program in place. In addition to myself, the supervisor has enlisted the assistance of a retired CPA, reviewed alternate providers of county services that focus on township operations. And if you've checked the materials in the board package, we got to the point where the local firm, this Lisle Township, we just presented, thank you, was a very strong option for us to look at. In parallel with that, it was identified that another gentleman who's going to present, Mark Dahlberg, who's is doing similar functions with townships in the in the Chicagoland area. So that gives us an alternative to look at.
We went through the board packet has information. I hope you had a chance to look at it about what we thought about the different two firms. So really, that's how we got to where we are today. And they're presenting their capabilities in their proposal. We can ask questions. And I encourage you to do that. And then Mark will present as well. And I encourage you to ask him questions as well.
I would like to also add to your backstory.
Please.
Trustee Robinson, because those numbers seem really high, probably to one in the audience compared to the proposals. We've been doing a lot of back work, right? So we also have had a lot of turnover. And so when you have that, there's information that's lost, there's knowledge share that's lost. So that has caused us to have to spend more than you would normally have to do in just like in a normal operation. I just want to make sure that you have that background, so it shouldn't always be $10,000-12,000 a month. We've been having to fix a lot of back issues, so that takes time and that takes money, right, to get that corrected. So I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. And there was some transition of, we've had 3 or 4 different people in that role.
Yeah.
In
In a
terms,
short amount of time.
right, and that caused some angst as well, and some extra work for our accountant to try to
Yeah.
retrain.
But I just want to make sure you guys understand that we just weren't just being filled with there's been a lot of work. Okay, thank you.
So any questions for the representative from Lauerback and I know you, hopefully, and I know it was only in the board packet, so you may have a chance to dive into it, but anything you'd like to?
No, I read through everything on the packet and I have no questions.
Are your accountants available in the evening for board meetings if necessary? Yep.
And to come on premises if needed?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we do that for many of our clients, we have the board meetings. Typically, and I'm not sure if it's in the proposal or not, but it's not 40 or 30.
And you're based out of Naperville Township, right?
Correct, yeah, we're based out of Naperville. I think it was an 11-minute drive to the guys in the office today. So very close.
And so if we're looking at the townships that you serve Addison Township, Milton Township, Naperville Township, Winfield Township, so you serve a lot of DuPage townships, right?
We do, yes, and then we have some like Zion, for example, that's far, because we have traveled on site there, they've requested it. But typically then that one is remote, so it just really depends on what works for the client, also, so.
Can we talk about your process of onboarding a new client? Like, you know, what first 30 days would look like, and just, yeah, please, thank you.
Not a problem. So typically in the beginning, the first 30 days, obviously there's a little bit more on-site time as we're getting to know your processes, your software, kind of reviewing your budget, reviewing your accounting, reviewing your bank statements. Obviously in this situation, there was an option for, that just doing an overview of accounting and reporting, so helping, bookkeepers, if you guys were to have one in that situation, on the QuickBooks. So those first, I would say probably 30 to 60 days, there's some more upfront time. In that, that's why we like to do the more fixed fee. That's what most of our clients like, is that more fixed monthly fee, because then, it has some bonus for them at that time. In the beginning, they're not coming out at your report. But yeah, so in the beginning, it's a little more on-site time, and then it kind of tapers off a little bit. But obviously we're here then to help, like, any of the functions and tasks that we're assigned to do. In the proposal, and all of that is stated in there. Reviewing the AP, processing a budget, reviewing payroll, preparing bank records and financials, all that stuff. And so that's kind of like why we like to do, a 1 year at a time contract, especially with newer clients, as we get more integrated in, then we can offer, 3-year contracts that have maybe a little bit of more discounted rates over those 3 years. Once we, really get our feet wet and see, but we do just have a lot of places. And so, Diane sent a very comprehensive list of items. And so we were able to take that list to come up with I would say a fair budget for the year of how many hours that it would take for us to complete these tasks.
It includes the budget and the appropriations document. Preparation too.
Yep.
And what percentage of your clients are municipal clients?
98% of our clients are in that government space. Municipality specific, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's 98% of our client base is government. And then we have, you know, a small percentage of that for profit, small businesses.
Thank you. Okay, then, thank you very much, Kelly. Then moving on to Mark, and I see you online, and I will give you full ability to make you co-host. So anything you wish to share, you can share.
All right, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mark.
All right, good. Hello, everybody, thanks for having me. I'm Mark Dahlberg. I'm a CPA originally from Orland Park, Illinois. I have over 16 years of accounting and audit experience in various corporate roles, as well as running my own practice for the past 6 years that I took over from my father, Daryl Dahlberg, who actually Lisle Township had hired my father many years ago when the financial statements were unauditable, to kind of clean things up and train the person doing the bookkeeping at the time. So I helped him transition to retirement. I took over the business on my own now. So he's kind of shown me the ropes of the government accounting. And now I manage several townships on my own. I've been doing it for the past 6 years, but 3 of those years have been remotely from California, where I currently live. I had to move out here during the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, I was actually setting up my clients for remote capabilities as it was. So when the pandemic hit, it kind of was a seamless transition that when I had to move out here, all of the processes stayed the same. We didn't have to scramble and make things work. So it's worked great so far. And for the past 3 years, I've maintained all of my clients that I had before I moved out here. I do pride myself on providing, exceptional customer service, being available whenever my clients need me, at, typically lower costs than my competitors. And also the fact that, between my father and I of having 18 years combined experience running these townships, all of our audits have passed. And there's very little questions that the auditors give us each audit. They're kind of in and out. So I kind of have these townships running like a well-oiled machine at this point. And I'm confident with my experience working with these townships that, I could get Lisle Township on a similar path. And I look forward to partnering with you guys. And but I'm mainly here if you guys have any questions for me about what I can help you with. Shoot away.
Well, why don't you list the townships you're working with now? I'm sorry if I missed it.
Oh, Crete Township, Washington Township, and Wheatland Township.
And if you want to talk about 30, 60 days, same sort of process, how you would get yourself engaged and
yeah. So yeah, I definitely have to get an understanding of your accounting records, get into your QuickBooks, and do my assessment essentially to see if the books are clean, see if things are balancing out. If everything looks good, then it's just a matter of understanding your processes, who's doing what, who's approving what, and then I guess where my role would fit in, because I've kind of heard a couple different things where there's a bookkeeper right now who's, maybe wants to be trained more to do more things. But also I've been, asked if I could do more things than originally thought, like payroll and other things like that, instead of just being like the reviewer ultimately for several items. So I just kind of have to, talk to people, process owners, and document how you guys do things first of all, and then go from there essentially, and try to get, within the first 60 days, I'd say, a really good understanding of how things are going to flow going forward. Because right now it's still, I have several questions as well about my involvement, the scope of work that, I would be considered to do, which would also affect, the fee structure, because I am on with my current clients, I do a monthly fixed fee for standard monthly services, like for instance, payroll, invoice review, board packages, compiling all the financial reports. And then anything that is kind of out of the ordinary on a monthly basis, I charge an hourly rate, such as, audit requests, ad hoc reports like the treasurer's report, annual comptroller's report, or supervisor's report. So yeah, my fees would range, most likely without having all of the knowledge I need and of your systems and how they look right now, I would estimate anywhere between $2,500 to $3,500 a month. But I would probably lean more on, closer to the middle there, based on my prior experience. So it's just a matter of, if I get in there and there's a lot of things that aren't adding up, then it's going to be a lot more work for myself. But if I get in there and things are looking, pretty good, then it's not as much effort to get things to where they need to be, and the fees would kind of reflect that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Mark. Could you discuss your hourly rate, what you would expect that to be with the equivalent you just mentioned?
Yeah. I would start at $100 per hour.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how you deal with the time difference between California and Illinois? You're 2 hours ahead. 2 hours.
It
behind.
actually works out in my favor a lot of times, because a lot of the work I do for my clients is when they're not on their computers. I have to remote in. I use TeamViewer to remote in to the computer I need to work on. So I let people do their work during the day, and typically when they leave for the evening, that's when I would go on and do payroll or compile the financials or whatever I have to do. So they're actually gone 2 hours, ahead of me from the workday typically. So I don't have to wait, all day to get on their computer. I can get on around like 1:30 my time to do a lot of things I need to do. So yeah, the hour difference is actually good for this.
One question, the accounting transition project that's estimating for it to be at least 10,000. Is that like a for sure step that has to happen? Because we are currently working to make sure everything is up to date and up to par. So
so the way I understand your books and records now is, try not to get too technical here, but you have a 2 leading identifier for each fund. So like whatever that identifier might be, that's how you identify the fund. And then the account number, whether that be like payroll expense, legal expense, comes after that. And you kind of line up all your accounts, stack them on top of each other, and get a grand total at the bottom. The way that my other townships work is we have one account for, in the system. So you wouldn't have to create several different accounts for the same account, essentially, for each fund. So you have one account in the system, and then you have, we call it in QuickBooks a class of funds. So you would have each fund as a separate class. So it's a different way of presenting financials. It's a different way to, I think, present cleaner, more understandable financials for each fund individually. I did provide in my proposal a board package from an example from Lisle Township that I provide them on a monthly basis. And that kind of gives you an idea of, what I would be trying to get Lisle Township at that level of reporting. So I'm not sure if you had a chance to take a look at that. I do encourage you to take a look at that and see if that's something you'd be interested in receiving. I think a lot of the reports I provide, they provide clarity for the board members, and I don't get a lot of questions on a monthly basis from them. I think they just at this point understand the information I'm providing them. It's clear and it's understandable. Sometimes they do have questions, and I'm always available to help out and answer them.
Two quick questions. Are you a licensed CPA?
I am a licensed CPA, yes. I'm registered in Illinois.
Okay. And do you have insurance for the business that you're doing here in Illinois?
No, I do not have professional insurance. I've never, I guess my clients have never required me to have that. My father as well did not have that either. It's for me, I see it more as a liability on myself. You guys, if someone wanted to come after me personally, they could, but this is my livelihood. So I make sure I do things with the highest integrity and standards. And I keep my clients happy essentially. So there's no reason that I would be ever, I guess, needing it in my opinion, but I can understand if that's a concern of yours, which I mean, I can go out and get insurance tomorrow if I needed to. It's not that big of a deal.
To be clear, the township would not have any current insurance if we were to take you on as a accountant, correct? Business insurance.
Supervisor Hewitt, what kind of insurance would you need?
Well, normally professionals have insurance for their,
What professional, I don't know, what kind of insurance? I want to understand, that's what I'm asking.
so
So
normally
he would be liable for anything that's incorrect, correct?
him personally, and
Yeah.
normally they have, normally professionals have insurance for liability. Your Dana, do you have insurance for
I
your?
do, but the state, just a full disclosure, the state requires me to have malpractice insurance, but yes.
Malpractice insurance.
Yes, I have
He's not-
malpractice.
But yeah. Okay.
So there's not even insurance malpractice or anything like that for you, sir, right? Correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
But I can get that if I need to. It's not, like I said, a big deal. I just never needed it. I've never had that requested from any of my clients in the past, so I just haven't seen a need for it.
Yeah,
The
I'm
books
just,
are always clean that I do, and I, like I said, I provide the highest level of, quality financials that that I'm hired to do. So it's never been an issue for the past 18 years between my father and myself. So that's just how I see it. But like I said, I can always go get it if that was a requirement.
I know, I appreciate that. And because I truly don't understand, where would be a case where someone would need insurance in this scenario? Like, do you have an example? I'm sorry, Supervisor Hewitt is the one who's asking. Do you have an example of where insurance like this would be necessary? Just so that, I truly don't understand.
Yes, I can have an example. For example, say somebody were to set up a IMRF fund. And for example, accidentally set up it wrong with the voluntary IMRF donations. That's happened to us in the past with our previous accounting or people in the finance department. So I'm just giving a realistic idea.
And so if they did set it up wrong and we found an error, we would fix it.
So
what
the
have
idea would
insurance
be
for
that there would be liability insurance. And so right
But we
now,
have IMRF insurance.
and so, for example, we just went to our Connor and Gallagher, which was our general insurance firm. And we just saw that we don't have insurance for that particular issue. It would have been if we had a accountant that had made that particular mistake, which wasn't the case.
But we didn't have an accountant. We just had staff working the books.
And
This would
so
be
in the
exactly
future, if
professional
we
accounting,
actually
right?
have an accountant overseeing all of this,
Right.
then that would have been covered. But we don't. And so in the future, it would be really helpful for whomever we are having as accountants to have the proper insurance.
What would the insurance provide us? That's what I don't understand.
It would provide us, for example, their work would be provided under, there would be a liability coverage for their work. So for example, if attorney Yordana Wysocki had done something that was negligent, then her
Just, I think I have a simple answer.
Thank you.
No, it's wrong. It provides a deeper pocket. That's really what the insurance is.
Okay.
So it provides a deeper
Does
pocket.
accountant Nader have that insurance?
I have no idea.
Accountant
That
Nader, do
would
you
be-
have that insurance? We've been working with you for the last year. Do you have that insurance?
She's talking, but we can't hear. We can't hear you.
You're not talking.
No. I know she, her mouth is moving, but.
Yes, I do have insurance. I don't know anybody that doesn't. Things happen. The thing is we a lot of times are asked for opinions on how to set something up or do something or execute something. A lot of times we give advice for planning type of situations, and any of that can come back to bite us. So we carry malpractice insurance, errors and omissions. I've got cyber insurance. Whenever you're working remotely with a client, there's always the opportunity that someone can hack into the system because of that open line. So, yes, we do. I have a, minimum $2 million policy. In the past, I've gotten up to $5 million policies, depending on the clients that I've been working with.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I really truly didn't understand, so I want to make sure you understood.
No, definitely.
But you would be willing to secure that if this is the choice we made, Mr. Dollar.
Yeah, it's not an issue. I mean, I used to be an S corp. And when I moved out to California, that's when I had to dissolve because it was an Illinois corporation, and I've been a sole proprietor for the past few years out here. I just have not set up as an S corp again out here yet. But I mean, that's something that I'm absolutely willing to do. With all these questions about it, it sounds like I should be getting it. So I would be happy to do that.
I'm curious, you work with Lisle Township. I'm surprised that they're a neighboring township. Why, if this is something so serious, why they wouldn't be expecting it? Just interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, 18 years of running these records, it's passed every audit. There's never been any issues. So, I mean, I understand the concern, but it's not a concern on my end, or it wasn't on my father's, so.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, thank you, Mr. Dahlberg.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and then that's agenda item number 10. Then discussion and possible action on retaining an accountant.
I'd like to make a motion to table that discussion.
I'd like to second, I'd like to speak on this one. I want to think about it, right? This is a lot to think about. It's a lot to digest. It's a huge.
Quite frankly, since we're, do we want to move to discuss, do we have to just? Can we open?
So we have
discussion?
a motion, thank you, trustee Geis, and thank you, trustee Page, and then we're moving to discussion. And then any other discussion?
I was McGovern.
Yeah. Sorry,
It's fine, I just want to get it on.
So can we discuss it?
yes,
Okay.
we're in discussion.
So here's the challenge I'm having. We've spent a significant amount of time with the accountant Nader. She has spent a significant amount of time cleaning up, understanding, cleaning up, correcting errors. I'm just not 100% sure that I'm comfortable, moving away from that. Moving away from that expertise. I just wanted to put that out there. I think both presentations are solid, but I want us to be mindful and really be thinking about what is the expense of yet another change on our budget. I don't know, so I just want to think about that.
Yeah, no, we've made an investment. There's no question in the current account, we've made an investment in us as well. So I understand.
But I also recognize that the environment that she has had to operate in has been challenging too. So I wouldn't blame her if she made a different choice.
A lot. I would say on the setup being initial.
Or her rate
Accountant.
Yeah.
And has Linda published her rates with us officially?
So we're trying to make sure we're following the rules, and yes, trustee McGovern, those initial rates were originally published. The contract has not been, we have not signed a contract with accountant Nader. Any other discussion? Or roll call vote to table this to?
Trustee Geis.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, then moving on to agenda item 11, accountant's report.
Okay, I wanted to bring everybody up to date on some of the things that we've been working on. Lisa and I have been working on the budget versus actual, so that we will be able to print off monthly reports that reflect accurately the monthly expenses versus the monthly budget. We have the majority of the supervisor accounts allocated because a lot of them are easily divided by 12, meaning utilities and things of that nature. We do have some questions that we've been working with trustee Robinson on to get clarification of when the expenses would be occurring. Lisa has also been in contact with John and Ed to make sure that we can work with them to allocate their budget appropriately and make sure that everything is the way that they want it. I know that Ed has been on vacation, so we're looking forward to getting some information from him once he gets back. We feel that this is something that will definitely be done by the next board meeting. And at that time, we can actually prepare the financial statements by month retroactively to April, May, and June, so that we will be able to have accurate budget versus actual. So we can have the board can have a good discussion about how it's starting to shape up. It's my understanding that there is going to be discussions on amended budget. And at that time, these figures would be very beneficial to see where we're at for the first quarter plus a month. In terms of Lisa's training, it has been going very well. We have been working on payroll, accounts payable, the bank reconciliations, starting to do journal entries. She's become very familiar with the budget module. A lot of time has been spent on the bank recs because there are quite a few accounts, and there's a lot of information that goes through those accounts with transfers between them, the amount of payroll checks, the amount of accounts payable checks. Right now, we are completing July bank reconciliations. She's been doing very well on it. We have had a little bit of a standstill on the one account because Gwen Henry has sent money to the bank account for the first tranche of the real estate taxes, but at this time has not posted all the information to the website. And the website is what provides us the code numbers so that we know what category of revenue they belong to. So right now we are on hold with that account until Gwen Henry's office puts that all together. Now, Lisa is checking the website daily. So as soon as we have the information, we will put it into the system. Right now, in terms of the audit, Lisa has been trying to email Martha Trotter and has not received any emails back from her. Trustee Robinson has tried calling Martha Trotter. The reason of Lisa's emails was we need clarification on 2 requested items that we need more information on in order to provide her with what she needs. As of yet, Trustee Robinson has not received a response from her either. So right now we're monitoring the situation because we would like to find out what the audit schedule is going to be moving forward. I know when I had spoke to Martha, she had thought that July 10th would be the start of field work. I didn't hear from her, so I called her on July 7th. She called me back. She said that they were a little short-staffed and having some issues with other audits, and that it would be detained probably 2 weeks. But now we're already at a 3-week point. So we're trying to see exactly where we stand with them on getting this audit done. In terms of Patricia, Trustee Robinson and I have been talking. Patricia has not yet given the letter that she was supposed to put together to the affected employees, explaining the situation, what the township is doing, and what the employees need to do. The board had asked for that as part of the engagement, so that they didn't run into any legal liability with that. She was also supposed to supply guidance on the reimbursement for the employees for the amended tax prep, penalties and interest, and what the township would vote to do in terms of that. And we're still missing those two pieces of information. So that's where we stand on the open items that we have. Does anyone have questions on that?
Well, it's the audit delay is distressing. Has Supervisor Hewitt, have you had a conversation with anybody from Sickich? Can you update us where we're at with this at all?
Well, I've been looking for a constant update from either Lisa Rose or.
And my
from
question was,
Nader.
have you been in touch with anybody from Sickich? Have you been in touch with Martha from Sickich?
I've repeatedly emailed Martha.
And you're not getting,
What I am getting is that we're apparently not turning in what we were supposed to turn in from bookkeeper. Rose.
can you speak to that?
That's all I've heard.
Did you hear, can you speak to that, please?
I mean, Lisa has emailed Martha Trotter, and I would believe that Trustee Robinson has called her if he has said that he has done that. So.
Can we just get a call? What it's gonna take to
Right,
finish this?
yeah, it's a little distressing that you've been in touch, but that she won't get in touch with anybody else who's reaching out. That's a little problematic.
My problem is we have no engagement letter. And looking back at my records, my email from Martha on May 15th was that it would be $20,000 for the audit engagement, and that she would have a engagement letter shortly. I have asked her 3 times over this time, and she has said she doesn't have it done. Now, this is 3 months later already. And I have to say, in the 30+ years experience that I have with audits, I have never had a situation where it's taken 3 months to get an engagement letter. They're standard. They usually just give the price over to their staff. The staff makes whatever adjustments to the template, and then they'll normally send it out. I mean, I have some concerns about if they are starting field work without Lisle Township having an engagement letter, because you don't have a sum certain then on what this audit would cost.
Have you been in communication with them, Supervisor Hewitt?
Again, I have been in constant communication with them, and they have constantly.
So they'll answer to you.
To the other people?
And again, they've told me repeatedly that they have not gotten everything they needed into their portal.
So we understand what's going on now.
So they need to get what they require into their portal, and that's required. That's what they've required. And that's what they've said is missing from getting the engagement
I have a question.
letter.
I have a question.
So, Clerk Powlitz.
So how could we put things into the portal if we don't have the engagement letter first?
Oh.
So to your knowledge, what's the holdup with the engagement letter?
To my knowledge, they've said that the engagement letter was waiting on pieces that
What
Miss.
pieces? Please articulate don't
I-
use the word pieces. Please tell us exactly what it is.
I
that is missing.
specifically asked for this, I don't, at least 4 times, and I haven't gotten this from either Lisa Rose or from Martha Trotter.
No. If Sickich is telling you pieces, Sickich needs to be the one to tell you exactly what information that they're looking for.
So that they can provide it.
They said that, they said specifically verbatim that they didn't have what they needed in their portal.
So
they didn't.
what they need is.
And then I went to Lisa Rose and I asked her, what is missing from the portal? And I have yet
Engagement letter is
to get
missing.
a list of information that is missing, from the
Answer
portal.
that question for you if they're not responding to her. But if you're in communication with them and they're telling you the pieces are missing, you have to use your problem solving skills and say, give me the pieces of information that you're missing so that I can direct my staff to provide you with the missing pieces.
So,
Correct?
yeah, sorry, I'm gonna interject. You have access to the board. You can look
Oh
and
my
see
goodness
what is
gracious.
missing.
You do?
The last time I looked, you had not even registered to get into the portal.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's changed or not.
Yep.
But
It's law that we need to do an
I
audit.
know.
and we're screwing this up. So what's our liability if we do not get an audit done on time?
Would like to say something.
Oh, I apologize.
No, I did ask for a letter of engagement and I have not received anything. I thought we were all part of the audit team and Ed specifically wanted me to liaison, instead of Linda. And I don't get any response, so.
So you're not getting any responses to the
And I've been
information, but
uploading
they're
what I
telling
can.
her that they're missing information. So at the end of the day, the common denominator would be you, Supervisor Hewitt, and you have the authority to ask them for that information. And tell them they're not giving you the information you need. I mean, this is, to me, that seems pretty simple.
I have a problem with you putting personal information into a portal of a company that doesn't have any kind of agreement with us.
Yeah.
They're not bound by anything, and we're putting things into their portal that you didn't even register. I'm gonna go back to ask, Attorney Wasaki, I don't even know if you know the answer. I see a.
No, I was actually trying to figure that out as I was
Okay.
listening to the report.
What's the
So,
liability if we don't get?
so there
done?
are, what is this, the Government Accounting Audit Act or Government
I
Accounting
didn't
Act,
even
which
know there was.
there is, and we need to follow it. The audits due 180 days, so 6 months after the close of the fiscal year, so that would be the end of September. It needs to be filed with I'm sorry, no, it's fine. I would honestly, I'm somewhat familiar with this act, but I've never, I know that there is a section here, which I haven't read yet, on overdue reports. I have to read it. I don't know that.
Can we rectify this tomorrow, Supervisor Hewitt? Can you call Sickich and get an engagement letter? Maybe Trustee Robinson can be on it, and Accountant Nader can be on it, and Lisa Rose can be on it, and get it done, whatever it takes. They're not gonna be able to. I'm finished, please. This is due by September, and I don't feel confident that there's any way, shape, or form they're gonna be able to get the whole process done.
It's gonna cost us money.
You need to take care of this. You need to it's not a question. This is, talk about insurance and liability. You're putting us all at risk here. And the taxpayer dollars. Please don't smirk. This is
Very
not funny,
serious.
cute,
This
or
is very,
anything.
very serious, and you guys sitting here need to understand how serious this is. You've come here and you've come and defended, and you keep saying we're nitpicking. You think this is nitpicking? This is why we have to micromanage things, because things are not happening that are critical. Critical.
I'm trying to
not
make
given
sure
the
that
benefit
you've
of any
had
real
all of
answers.
the
I'm
time
done.
that you
I'm
have.
really done.
And then is there any other board member that has anything to add about this?
I think we've all said what we need to say. This needs to be resolved tomorrow, not the next day. We should not be having this conversation again.
Right.
I don't want to see 1,000 emails going back and forth about this tomorrow either. I want a meeting set up. I want the people that Clerk Holloway suggested to be in that meeting on that call tomorrow.
Linda, can I ask a question?
Of course.
We have what, 3 weeks left to August, and then there's 4 weeks in September. If they started tomorrow, could we get this audit completed by the 30th of September?
There should be no problem. I know it's a first year audit, but Martha didn't think initially when we spoke that it would be anything out of the ordinary. So I guess the thing is when they can start the field work on it. I know we have 2 things they asked for that we asked for clarification because I don't know what they want. So, I know that's one thing that we do not have to them. But as soon as they would tell me what they need, I'm more than happy to provide them with that document.
Will not.
But to be super
switching
clear,
accounts
there is
anytime
nothing
soon
that I
because
am
we cannot see
doing.
This audit through without our
To-
current team.
Okay, to be super clear, there's nothing that I am doing to hold up this audit from
We're not saying
happening.
you're holding it up. but
You
you're
didn't
not
register
taking
into the
proactive
portal.
action.
We're discussing other accounting firms and our ducks aren't in a row for the audit.
Right.
I'm making sure that I'm not holding anything back. I'm just wanting to make sure that I have nothing to contribute to this audit happening,
You are the
correct?
Supervisor.
You're in charge.
Miss Rose,
Charge.
no. Here's the thing, is that I have nothing to contribute that is holding this audit up.
Yes, you
from
are, because they asked
happening.
for some resolutions from me that I said they're not rewritten. And you had said that you need to have them rewritten and sent.
From
So
an
that's
engagement
one.
letter. From an engagement letter,
You're the
there is
one
nothing
teaching-
that I am needing to do. I've
You
asked
need to
them
get
for.
the engagement letter and
Okay,
then
I
sign
don't
it.
create the engagement letter,
But
to
then
be
you just
super
apply the
clear.
pressure on the persons who are accountable to get it done. You can't passively address this. You are being complacent and you're again.
I have
not taking
asked for this
ownership for what you're
engagement
doing.
letter
Take ownership.
over and over and over again, but I cannot create an engagement letter that I
So we
cannot
will
create.
just go without.
No, I am
What's your
more than
solution?
willing to try to work on this, but like to be super clear. And I have been working on this to be super clear, but I cannot create this engagement letter from.
That's not what we're asking. We're asking for communication and contact with the team, with the entire.
And we
team.
have been working with this.
Hopefully.
I have been working with Martha and I have been emailing her consistently. I have
Can
put,
you forward us all the emails that you've been sending to her, please?
you got it.
Appreciate that.
And then maybe have
If you could do it while I
have the
do, that'd
call
be great.
tomorrow with
You can wake me up.
everybody. And by the end of the day, if you could send the board an email with the update of where we're at by the end of the day tomorrow.
Do we have
Awesome.
the option to go with someone else if we don't have this?
You got it.
Linda, that's a good question. I know we had a lot of trouble finding this company. They're few and far between that provide these type of audits.
They're supposed to be reputable too.
Do you have a suggestion?
No, I mean, we were lucky to get sickage. I mean, I called everywhere. I called every colleague I have. We looked at numerous firms. Nobody is taking audits right now. I mean, we were very lucky to be able to get sickage. But sickage has such a good name and everything. I just don't know why we can't get an engagement letter in 3 months. I mean, I just have never seen that before, because most of them want to engage right away so that they know they're going to get paid for what they do. I mean, if we did poll right now, they have put time into this. You know, they've gone through the paperwork in the portal that we have sent them. I know Martha has. So, you know, if she's had her staff working on stuff, if she's been doing things, all the emails back and forth. I mean, they've got a lot of time put into this already. You know, if we did find somebody and pulled it, they wouldn't have an engagement letter to get paid. So I just don't understand what's wrong with the engagement that they can't get a letter to us.
You apply that pressure. Can you say, look, you already have time invested. Do you want us to, I mean, like,
We should do that.
Yeah.
you know, a little
Right.
elbow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, you know,
This.
the only thing is I know trustee Robinson had called and didn't get a call. I mean, I could try to call and talk to Martha's supervisor. And see if that would give me the ability to get to her quicker. Cause I don't know what else to do to get contact with her. To move this forward, because she doesn't seem to be responding at this point.
In fairness, I called her, was it yesterday or Tuesday or Monday, so it's only days, but I know there's been other people trying to get contact a lot more frequently.
How many
I'll
times
go
have
Kim.
you reached out?
Couple times by email and notes in the portal,
And nothing is being responded to?
not that I have seen.
That's not a good sign for.
It's not, if they're responding,
Yeah.
responding to Supervisor Hewitt,
I'll go park in their lobby,
Good.
seriously,
I know, what are you gonna do?
let's tell yourself a problem.
Yes, yeah.
Did you ask them to do anything differently than a regular audit? Did you, has anything changed besides the typical engagement that we want?
No.
so there's no reason for the delay.
Are you nervous about the delay? I am. I'm just trying to gauge. your-
I've again reached out to them several times and I've been trying to figure out where we're at in moving forward with this as fast as we possibly can. So
Supervisor Hewitt, are you okay?
are you okay?
I
Trustee
am,
Geis?
but you're very quiet. If you didn't feel well or. It's hard to hear you. You're talking very softly. I just want to make sure you're okay.
Does anybody have any other motions or do you wish to discuss anything else?
What's the action? What is the solution? What are we leaving this with? What's happening tomorrow?
So, I will promise to email, to call, Martha, trustee Robinson, do you wish to join the group effort in calling?
I'll go sit in their office. I'll find the managing partner.
Wonderful. We're both trying to work as much as we possibly can to get an engagement letter.
So you're gonna work as a team, the four of you are agreeing to that today, that this is gonna happen tomorrow.
And then
Do you wish
email by the
to
end of the day.
put a motion together to
That's what we
say
need. I'm
this?
just making sure that we.
And
just making sure that
again-
We all understand what's happening tomorrow and that we know what we're expecting, that's all. You're gonna work as a team. Or is that what we're agreeing to?
So I said, I will call Martha and I will email Martha Trotter and trustee Robinson. Do you wish to do the same?
Yep.
Okay, and will we have Lisa Rose and Clerk Polowitz all on the same email to make sure that everyone is fully aware of what's going on with the audit?
Do we want?
And the coordinator, of course, everyone will be on this email. Is that
Thank you.
what you wish, trustee Geist?
It's not about what I wish, it's what we should all be expecting. So I just want to make sure that we have a clear action plan so that we're not still talking about this.
And that we all know that we're moving in the right direction.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say. What's our call to action? What are we doing? So you're all gonna make this, everybody's gonna make this phone call, so and you're all gonna communicate. Maybe you should, one person should draft the communication, you're all on it, at least, right?
Conference call.
Well, yes, but we've got to connect with that first.
Is there anything more in the accountant's report that you would like to add, accountanator?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions in agenda item 11 in the accountant's report? Trustee Geist, do you have any questions more?
I do not, thank you for asking.
Anyone else have any questions more? Okay, next is the supervisors. Or, sorry, Attorney Waisaki,
I would like to use the washroom. Can we call a recess?
Can we
Or
recess?
I'm sorry.
because we
I hate to
need.
do it just for
a
me, but we have
washroom
been here
break.
2 hours and.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry.
Is it 5 minute recess?
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess for the washroom.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everybody could use a washroom break, I'm sure.
No,
Whatever, cheers.
fine for now, I'm just checking around. I almost threw myself. Yeah. How are you seeing it? Yes. Oh, it's very.
These guys are
Water standard.
But
Oh.
But I want to-
I'm not like your child.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Your August is very nice. Well, I think it's very staying tomorrow. And breakfast tonight.
Yeah.
The last part of the meeting should be. When people.
Thank you
come
for
in,
finding that.
Oh, you're right.
good
It was just, you
answers.
didn't, you had it with you.
I know.
It's the other thing I wanted
The only well, I understand.
He's doing really well, good, you know, he's still not gonna do the other one this year. Okay. He's doing okay, yeah.
I feel a lot of defense on me. You are.
That was perfect.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's. That was brought up earlier. Brings it up to. That's kind of the question today. So.
Jerry was hoping.
That nothing is moving on
Jerry
there.
was hoping.
Is it?
Right down.
Are you-
No, next year. Oh, yeah, he's 4 still,
Okay.
he'll be 5 in February. I know, I'm ready for the daycare expenses to end.
Are you guys full-time? Do you have the
No,
option?
what, for kindergarten?
Kindergarten, yeah.
Yes, but there's a waiting list, so.
I didn't used to support that. When my kids were little, I was like, no, half day is fine, but I've since changed my mind, you know, that if you think about how children learn from the minute they're born, they have to learn to hold their head up and pinch their fingers, their brains are like sponges. I'm like,
No,
exploit.
as early as possible, just, yeah, exactly.
Stuff it all in there.
Village
Yeah,
place
yeah.
in New York, and I was very active.
And everything
Sorry. There we go. Okay. To begin with, the supervisor's report, and I'll just start over. Okay, the July 2023 supervisor's report received a quote of an additional $8,660 for insurance from Connor and Gallagher for the 2121 Ogden Avenue building. Also, I want to clarify why we did not get an additional bill for the newly leased vehicle, even though we have documented proof of insurance through both Connor and Gallagher and Pace. They add it to our next bill when we renew. So the reason why we have not gotten an additional bill for our Pace senior service system is because they will renew it when we bill again. We worked to resolve any issues with receipts with the credit card for normal township spending with the finance department. There's only a $12 legitimate parking receipt missing. Looking for direction on how that will be resolved. If that is to be paid outright, that's fine. We're just looking to make sure how that is resolved. Senior services took off this month in with the lunch and learns. The second lunch and learn had 5 times as much as the first one. And they worked with Lisle Park District and was a wonderful event. Also, they partnered with the county senior services. Next, we also became a senior health insurance provider certified with Terry Caballero and Joanna Vasquez Drexler becoming certified. We met with the president of Friends of Lisle Township to help coordinate with the Friends better, work with DuPage County to get more ARPA funding, make sure that we had also asked for a variety of pieces that we need now, like the refrigerated truck in West Suburban. Received news of the NIU, I'm looking at the time, I have a minute left. Received news that the NIU news assessment and work together as a township to agree on short-term and long-term planning. The township garage was cleaned up and reorganized for the recycling program. The biannual newsletter was sent out to a resounding success toward Moraine Township to learn how to expand our information infrastructure about visual GA. Scheduled a time with Visual GA to learn about other options, working with various municipalities as developments have developed in Downers Grove, Lisle, and Woodridge. Ridership in Lisle Township, transportation has continued to expand, working on its disaster response protocol for the township and its properties to better respond when disaster hits. Riverside for the unincorporated areas ended with geographical components needed to create a complete map of unincorporated sewer system. Second year participating in the National Night Out with the Village of Lisle Police. It was a wonderful family fun event. Launched the recycling program, working on updating SOPs on a variety of departments. We are updating the website, especially the right recycling. On August 29th, working with the Lisle Chamber of Commerce to present. Okay, so August 29th and September 14th, please keep in your mind.
There's something under more, excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't know if that's someone trying to say.
So that was reminding us to unmute a few minutes ago. We've unmuted. Any other questions with this supervisor's report that was required to be 3 minutes?
No, but for the sake of the minutes, just make sure it's Terry Carvalho, not Cabrio.
Sorry.
I guess my only question is, you mentioned changing the website, in what aspects?
So if we look at the lovely website. So at the very top, we're trying to make this more intuitive. Board meetings is at the top, making sure that the next board meeting is really easy to understand and obvious. We're working on making sure that the recycling has a variety of options like appliances. Basically, we're wanting to make sure that everyone in the township has the options that they need to know when it comes to recycling. There's a variety of partners that we're working with, whether it's DuPage County, Scarcity Works, Lions Club, Working Bikes, or Project Cure. We can work and understand the online guide that DuPage County has worked together to create, which has an alphabetical order of all the different options that are available. The really great thing that we're trying to do is aggregate the topics so that anybody that is looking to understand, hey, what do I do with my battery, my appliances, my cars, what have you not, they can push a button and understand all the options that they have available to them here in Lisle Township. And they understand, hey, this is what we can do here in the township, these are their options, and we will have a really good impact on our carbon footprint. Any other questions with the website?
Yeah, you didn't mention about the recycling program, is that, when we met last week, I had asked what the process was gonna look like, and you had said that it was in the newsletter. But the process clearly was not clear to residents, because it sounds like people were trying to bring like washers and dryers, and there was a lot of influx, there's a lot of trips being made out to the garage. Are we gonna find, and I know the highway commissioner was concerned about the traffic, like, are we improving that process? I'm just checking to see.
Of course, and so the hour after Highway Commissioner Ed Young requested that we stop the whole process and requested that we not have anyone go out to that garage, we amended the process to make sure that Highway Commissioner Young, his concerns were heard. And so no one is being directed to go to that last bay. Everyone is being directed to come to this front area with the receptionist, like it says in the newsletter, and like everything has been advertised. And we are organizing our staff to make sure that the carts then are, and everything that anyone could have will be then carted to the last garage for pickup.
How has that process been working?
Well, and it's been a growth, and it's been a variety of different, anytime you start a program that is really popular, which it's been very popular. It's been amazing to see that the community has responded so positively about the need that we knew existed. And so it's gone well.
The process, so logistically, when I asked last week what it was gonna look like, I come here with my recycling. What are the steps? I asked for the play-by-play of what that looked like. And it just sounded like that it still got really backed up here in the vestibule. So that's why I was just asking what steps we were taking, because I obviously safety is a concern. Someone coming in with young children, maybe someone who's a little more feeble-bodied, and having all this buildup of product out here. Safety is obviously paramount, so I just wanted to make sure, you don't have to speak to it, I just want to make sure that it's noted that that's really important, that we make sure that.
Of course, and we have lovely cameras right out front to make sure that we know exactly what's going on. Any other questions? And the pieces to note are August 29th, the Lisle Chamber of Commerce is working to present the food pantry at the Abington at 11:30. We're accepting the donations here, and then September 14th, 5 to 5:30, we'll be doing a brief ribbon cutting of the recycling program. So I just want to make sure that everybody has that on their calendars.
It was a little fast.
Say it again,
Say that again.
because the chamber didn't it today, so we have. everybody.
So again, on August 29th, working with the Lisle Chamber of Commerce to present the food pantry at the Abington at 11:30. They put this, it's a multi-chamber event. It's starting at 11:30 a.m. and it's going to 1:30. Then we have.
Is that something that we would have been invited to or been part of, or?
So I'm traditionally inviting you all.
How do we RSVP? Is there some process to that, or?
So again, I'll give you an email, and I'm sure that Debbie has this as well.
Yeah.
It's been continuously being advertised as a multi-chamber event.
Yeah.
And
Oh, God, sorry, I'm sorry. When you're ready.
whenever you wish to participate, Clerk Bowles.
If that's sincere, it is, it's a multi-chamber event. And Lisle Township's portion of the revenue is going to be donated to Lisle Township, the food pantry. Every other chamber is choosing their charity, but the chamber has been gracious enough to choose Lisle Township.
Okay, I didn't
So,
understand that.
right,
in the
that's
other
exactly
explanations.
what's
Thank you for
going on.
clarifying.
So there's an event there, and I'm not 100% sure what the event is, but we are invited. I'll find out and I'll get you everything. Okay.
And again, we're giving a presentation about the food pantry. And that is why I'm reminding everybody that you can come
Who's
and,
giving the presentation?
frankly, our food pantry director.
Awesome, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, September 14th at 5:30 will be our ribbon cutting for our recycling program. Okay, any other questions? Great, we're moving on to the staff. Just want to make sure we're all good. Okay, then we're moving on to the staff reports.
Did we agree that we weren't gonna read through the staff report?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions on the staff report?
How do they feel about putting all this together? Is what I would like to ask staff. I understand what, that you're trying to give us this information, but a lot of this looks like busy work, quite honestly, and I would like to know how the staff feels about spending their day having to write down, like,
Every task.
literally every task, you know. I'm just
The
suggesting,
executive assistant's tasks were like,
yeah.
cut business cards, like, I'm like. I mean, are they having to report that to you, like, every?
So I understand that the highway department and the assessors staff don't do this, and we started doing this because that was the tradition. If you don't wish to have any staff reports, just let us know and the staff can stop. So just let us know what you would
Something that I
prefer.
had suggested that we can put online and save us like a lot of printing, you know?
But as far as staff reports go, if there's something to be celebrated, I think that's something that myself and the public would like to hear, but the day-to-day, I think we're,
That they printed business cards
Familiar.
and cut them, I don't know, we need to know that.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
then we're not going to take any questions then about the staff reports, right? Or are there any
I
questions?
don't have any questions.
Okay, then.
Sorry, I do. The log of the front desk calls, do we not do that anymore?
We do that, and apparently there was a, it was not turned in for the month of July.
Okay.
I expect that that will be turned in shortly.
And I saw the operations manager said he had to resolve disputes in the food pantry. Anything more on that?
There's always disputes in the food pantry, whether that's because, for example, if somebody feels like they were cut in front of, if somebody feels like they didn't get the food that the person ahead of them got, there's literally on a daily basis disputes in the food pantry. So if you feel free to come in and people will, on the daily basis, start lining up. I was here at 7 o'clock this morning and there were 3 people ahead of me. For the open at 8:30.
I think when you, once we get the food pantry committee, you know, running, I think it's gonna be important to have, procedures, because I have witnessed people cutting, so I could see how disputes happen. I think in everyone's, you know, best efforts, they want everyone's needs to be met, but I have seen people pull something from later in the line and give it to somebody in a cart who's further back. So if you mitigate that, so it's risk management, these are the rules, these are the guidelines, then you reduce the risk, and then it's not a problem. And we have to have a strong set of rules and guidelines in place that the volunteers are adhering to as well.
Are you done, trustee guys? I just want to make sure you're,
No, I was just mentioning it.
okay, and we
We'll
do,
fix it.
we
'Cause
do.
Disputes are gonna happen,
we do,
but if we know what the disputes are,
and we
we can
do.
come up with this, well, he was asking what it was, and you said there's all sorts of disputes. If we know what the disputes are, then we can make sure we put a system in place that negates them.
And we have done that, and that, again,
Can you have an example of the dispute and a policy you put in place to correct it?
yes. For example, people, and there's some things that are problematic to dispute, but whoever comes in line first gets first access to the food pantry. And so we made sure that there's an easy line that can be queued up, is that again, people will come in at 6 o'clock to get first in line. So is that a problem of, partially that we don't have a whole endless amount of food? Yes. That is part of the problem. Second, it's the fact that, we don't have a virtual food pantry that would allow people to reserve their food in advance without having to wait in line. So we've tried to
So the
get,
dispute was the line,
the dispute is usually always the line,
that people are waiting in line?
usually always the line. 98% of the time, the dispute is always the line.
So that was the dispute, huh?
I mean, if we want to go
I
on,
was just-
but
I was
the
trying to
dispute
figure
is generally
It was in
always,
the notes of the report, so it was worth asking.
okay, and again, generally the dispute is the line.
Thank you.
Volunteer
Jenny.
law, sorry, I was looking for your last name in my head. And would you say that generally, I know you volunteer on about 3 times a week. Would you say that generally this dispute with,
The thing that I see most frequently is, well, first off, there's really not a lot of dispute. But
That's good to know.
there really isn't. I mean, most people, at least from in
The
the
3
afternoons,
years,
right? But it is a little problematic that if someone has family members that are in different places in the line, or their family members would take 2 carts, they can't do that. So that's where, we have to step in and say, no, you can only have
I
one cart per
witnessed that.
family.
Yeah.
That is our biggest thing. I don't really deal with the line outside. Gerald usually does that, but in the pantry itself, though, it's really organized well, and
That's good.
it works well, but it is first come, first serve. So it is tough. I mean, that's why people come at 6 in the morning, or I come an hour before it opens just to set it up, and there's already people waiting in line.
So there's not really a number of disputes then.
No.
See.
She works in the afternoon, in the morning is where the disputes happen.
yes,
She's in the morning, because the line is here, anyone come up here, like Diane said, at 7:30, you see a line of people, the people come, and that's where the disputes are happening, is in.
But what's the dispute? You either get in line or you don't get in
You
line.
get in line, but then the people sit in their car, and then they get out their car, and they friends or their buddies or their relatives
their
in the
spot.
front. And so now you don't know that.
Do you give out numbers?
No, we have no number system, it's the bodies.
That would probably, so see, that's what I'm saying, that now we know that that's a problem, now we possibly have a solution. Hand out numbers, just like a joke here, 1, 2, 3.
and
Whether you-
we've thought
yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
and again, we came back to, okay, well then somebody takes a number and then goes away for like an hour and a half until we open. So we've had that happen, where somebody takes a number, and so where we required again is that, and so again, that you have to wait in line to actually be in line. And so that's where we came back to. So, okay, any other staff reports? Okay, then moving on to discussion, and it's agenda item 14, discussion and possible action on the unkempt lawn policy.
Make a motion to table it to the next meeting.
Okay,
I'll
thank you,
second that.
trustee Geist and trustee Page. Any other discussion?
McGovern seconded.
Oh, sorry.
It was Paige. It was.
Okay.
You two voices are starting to sound like. So close together for so many hours, look what's happening here.
Okay, any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Geist.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, then, discussion and possible action on job descriptions.
I'm gonna make a motion to table this one to Friday's meeting. The Employment and Personnel Committee is meeting here at 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and I think that's a better forum to discuss these new
Possible.
changes.
Yeah. 7 times in 6 months.
Well,
No bueno.
and this is a bit of a problem. I
We're gonna table it.
put the agenda out there already. I would like the supervisor to please be prepared when you come to the meeting. I would like to know how much was spent. how much has been spent on the repeated job change descriptions from Connor Gallagher? How much time, how much money? All right, because in my possession, I have 3 different job changes that you have gone through using Connor and Gallagher, June 9th, June 30th, and now I've got August 4th. So there's a lot of change. You've added a lot of language in here that's problematic for a lot of the employees. I feel like the employment committee is a better place to have this discussion.
Okay, thank you, trustee Page. Second,
I'll second.
thank you, trustee Robinson. Any other discussion? And to be super clear, the last time that a job description was agreed to and proposed and changed was in March. And everybody gets a chance to discuss, including myself.
But we're not
And
discussing it. We agreed to
so
discuss it
everybody
Friday.
gets a chance to discuss, including myself.
Okay, well then we'll discuss that you changed one person's job 7 times in 6 months.
That
So,
has
I
not
thought
been
we agreed we're gonna
done.
wait till Friday.
It has been done.
No,
The
it is
employee
not.
actually has each description.
And
each
not a
description,
single
each
one
change.
since March has been agreed to or signed or changed.
Supervisor
They've been
Hewitt is
proposed.
contributing to
So
the
to be
chaos,
again,
exactly cracks.
so,
and
okay,
people
so
being
we're
frustrated
not
and
gonna have
irritated.
any other,
Okay,
do you have any other discussion? Because normally you actually have to follow the rules and be addressed. So
Okay.
trustee, guys.
So there's a first and a second to table the discussion.
Thank you.
You need,
Thank
you need a vote on that. If that fails, then you can continue the discussion.
great, thank you.
Trustee Page,
Yes.
trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee, I'm sorry, Geist,
Yes.
trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. The motion is tabled. Next, we have agenda item 16, discussion and possible action on Lisa Rose to become the signatory, removing operation manager Joan Wolf.
I'll make a motion to make Lisa Rose a signatory and remove operations manager Gerald.
Second.
Any discussion? No job changes, no discussion, just moving forward with this change. Okay, any other discussion? Then a roll call vote.
Trustee Geist.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
No. Discussion and the motion passes. Agenda item 17, discussion and possible action on when to have a police presence at meetings and when to not have a police presence.
So
I'm just looking forward to make sure that we understand exactly the finances involved, meaning that we budget for this properly and how we can properly make sure that they're called in advance. So
I think that
those are the two
There's a
concerns that I have.
contingency
There's
That
a
you can
contingency,
always
yeah.
get funding from. So funding is not an issue.
Actually, it is, because if we then decide when we're amending the budget to go towards the contingency without putting in thousands of dollars, such as, for example, the insurance or this, then we're basically taking away that contingency being a contingency, and we're saying that we're not being transparent. So I want to just make sure that we're all
Oh, you're
super
right.
transparent.
You're 100% right, it is an expense, you're 100% it's right, it's expense. But here's how we solve it, because there's a solution to every problem.
Mhm.
Stop creating chaos and inciting people to come here angry and pointing fingers and screaming at us because you're giving them misinformation, and then we won't feel threatened. There's the solution.
I think I also mentioned something at the last meeting too about the Lisle Police Department. Has that been looked into a little bit further? Because I do.
We
feel
already
like
did, they don't have this.
they don't have sufficient space.
The conference room?
Yeah.
I don't think the women's committee is allowed to use it.
So in order
Thought it
to
was covered.
follow our rules, we need to be addressed and asked for, so we raise our hand.
Well, I was
and-
talking to.
And I understand that, but like, we actually should be
So I asked a
addressed.
question. I think she
And
was
yes.
just answering.
And so again, we raise our hands and use these rules, and the really great thing,
Raise my hand to answer her question.
actually you do, because that's the rules
Well,
you
you're not
have.
raising your hand to ask.
Because I'm the one
I
that's
think my
supposed to be
question's been answered.
managing
Thank you.
this.
My goodness.
I
Okay.
understand it's hard to follow,
Oh,
but
continue to-
again, trustee McGovern, the issue is that the Lisle Police Department does not any longer rent out their room. So we can't go to the police department. If you all would like another room, the Lisle, for example, library closes at 9 o'clock. A lot of times our meetings go late. I'm not sure if you all want to decide on another location.
We're not discussing.
I think we're discussing police.
Okay,
The
so,
location was relevant because it was the police.
right. Is there, yes.
I have a
trustee-
question. What's the appropriate lead time to request police presence?
They prefer a week. When I talked to the chief the other day, they prefer a week. I think the last time that we requested presence here in this space, we'd given them only 1 day notice, so they had kind of had to scramble to find someone who was available after hours, I mean, who wasn't already on shift. So they would like a week notice. And I think we'll always know where we need them.
And they would even prefer more, so if we knew that, hey, you all wanted to, wanted to have police every time, that's okay.
I don't think we need to. I don't
They
think
just,
we need to,
they
but-
just need to know how to get there, and at what point do you all want to request that? Trustee Geist?
I don't think we need police presence every time. I think that it's all gonna depend on the communication flow that's happening the week or two before the meeting, and then we will decide what our level of comfort would be. Is that fair to say? Okay, great. So I don't think we need a budget for every meeting.
So in an
So
annual
we have control over how this
budget,
goes out. We have control over how this plays out. We can choose to operate with integrity and that's, spill this information and get people all worked up and upset and work together like adults, or we continue to create chaos and make people uncomfortable. And I can get 2 hours of text messages, telling me what to do and messages telling me what to do and change the numbers and do this and that. Because we are being honest and open with our constituents moving forward together, cooperatively. I love that idea. It's a great solution. Let's try it.
okay, so to be super clear, we have to put numbers to ideas and to expenditures, and we also have to put processes to how we create those expenditures. And so what I'm asking is that we understand the process of which you all want to have the police present, and at which you want to then spend it. So if that's going to be an average of $500 a month or $1,000 a month, then I'm suggesting you put that in the budget, and I'm suggesting that you create a process for whom and how you call the police. So to make sure that we have the police here and to make sure that this is something that's sustainable. I saw Clerk Paul.
Yeah, thank you. So this is not a week notice, but on Fridays, we're supposed to get the agenda. Once we get the agenda, we'll be able to tell if it's going to be a charged agenda, right? So as soon as we can get the agenda, then they should be able to know if it's a night that we really should have presence. So as soon as we could get the agenda, I think what they're saying is we don't need it every single time. I also think there were some alternatives that people had, that it doesn't necessarily need to be the police, but maybe a retired sheriff or something like that we might be able to hire to help us out too. So as soon as the point is, I think they're saying not, it's not going to be every single month or every single meeting, but as soon as we could get the agenda, then everyone can make the decision.
Okay, so we're looking to get a process together. Trustee Geist. I saw trustees, guys.
I'll go really fast, I promise. This is for Attorney Wasaki, because I truly don't know the answer to this question. Can we just appoint a sergeant of arms at each meeting that can remove people upon disruption?
So I would caution about that. Yeah, yes.
Not
you
remove,
could-
ask them to leave, sorry.
Ask them to leave
Yes,
is
nice.
okay.
And if
I
they
don't want a Fourth Amendment issue or a First Amendment issue that someone's speaking and we remove them, because that's really.
Speaking is different than disruption. So
I-
at our town hall meeting, for example,
I
we
completely
had a
agree.
disruptor, pretty significant disruptor, and they were asked to leave. But the sergeant of sergeant, oh my gosh, yeah, sorry, I'm tired.
Yeah, it's starting
Uh,
at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Wasn't heard, right? So I think if we could have a sergeant of arms who, if someone's disruptive, they know they would be asked to leave. If they don't leave, then we would call the police. Maybe that would make us more comfortable too. So that's just something to put out there.
Yeah.
But we did have alternatives to a uniformed police officer. That was less expensive.
Yes, the board could appoint a sergeant at arms to enforce order.
Okay.
But I just, I want to make sure that there's some limitations to that. From my experience, police officers are very trained in constitutional rights. That's a big part of their education and training. So you're not just, the police presence here is to, make sure that there's a lot of pieces to it, but one of it is you're getting someone who's educated and trained about what they can and cannot do at a public meeting. So that would be my only insight.
So we should. There's really nothing to discuss because we don't really know what we're doing yet, so,
Well,
right?
I was just going to suggest, like, for Clerk Palawitz's suggestion, after the agenda comes out. Similar to calling a meeting, could we have a 2 trustee system where if 2 trustees say, we feel like this is a meeting where there should be police presence, and then it's enacted?
That's totally fine. I'm just
So
trying
I
to
think
figure
there
out
should be,
how to
like, more than
plan
one
this
person,
and
I
how to
think there
budget
should
for
be-
this. So we need a budget and plan for when to do this. So if
Right.
2 trustees say this, great. If that's the protocol, 2 trustees need to do that, just like a meeting, great. And then if we're gonna say, okay, we need to budget 5,000, 10,000 a year annually. And I'm just trying to figure out what you all want.
Well, I appreciate that because like in other situations, we have not been consulted, so I appreciate you asking that question. I think that it's difficult to come up with that number, but maybe we should plan for at least maybe half, and then that way. But I also don't think we need to plan for $500. I think we should come up with a less expensive solution. So we have a retired sheriff who's offered to, come in at a smaller hourly rate. And maybe we should consider that.
I think
No.
we should also consider interviewing a variety of people, just as opposed to just taking the lowest rate. Because we have another contract, like, and shouldn't we have a bid?
Because I didn't say go with the lowest rate. I just said it was an option for us to consider. I didn't say go with the lowest rate. Like, that's where we take things just, okay.
How about we
So-
think about this for
Yeah,
a while,
let's do that.
and we've got a whole month.
Thank you.
right?
Strive to have calm meetings, so we don't require security yet. That would be a goal.
So just trying to make sure that we're following the rules. Your attorney.
I'm sorry, I'm not on the board, so I technically don't have a right here, but I do want to point out one other problem with hire. I can't help myself. I just want to be, I just want to inform you that if you're hiring someone directly, then anything that goes wrong and someone sues for, a Fourth Amendment violation or something falls back on the township. When you hire from the Lisle PD, they are covered and indemnified by the Village of Lisle. So there's there's a piece there. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, although I think Clerk Palawitz's idea of waiting until the agenda comes out is a good one. My understanding is that the chief of police in Lisle asked for at least a week to make sure they got volunteers, because they just put it up on their overtime board. So sorry.
They want more than a week's notice is
So
what they're
maybe we
trying to
could get
say.
the agenda done just a couple days earlier and Friday have all the back, what you're gonna want to have on the agenda.
I feel like we know what's coming.
We do.
You do,
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, great.
So the Lisle Police Department really would like to know by Wednesday whether we need help. I'm gonna try to make sure that all of the agendas are out by Wednesday so that you all know what is coming up. The Lisle Police have the right insurance and indemnification that would be the best coverage for the township. Really seems like the best idea. Any other discussion?
I just want to add to that. I know that's a lot of pressure to try to get the whole agenda done the Wednesday before. I know we're really pushing it to do it the Friday. But maybe if the bulk of it is done, even if there's some ads by Friday, at least we'll know. Is that fair? Okay. To be flexible, that we would be flexible, because I know that's a lot to ask to have everything on a week before, because things do happen. Situations come up where we have to discuss this. So I don't want to behold you to, it has to be the Wednesday before.
And it seems like we're having a whole lot of meetings that are coming up with like less than a few hours notice. So I am trying to be as flexible as I possibly can.
What meetings are less?
Well, last night, for example, I got the notice that I needed to put up a meeting within less than 24 hours to make sure that we had the personnel committee I'm just simply saying that
Oh,
like,
okay.
if we wanna, if you're asking for a full week's notice and I'm trying to.
No, I was giving you a break and saying, I know that that's a lot to ask. I was saying, that's a lot to ask. I actually. said
I'm
that.
doing it as fast as I possibly can, and
No.
again, I put up a notice within a few hours.
No,
So,
no, I'm just. no, I was
again,
Giving you grace. I was saying, give you more time. I didn't want you to be like, keep you that agenda.
we're
had to be
doing
on
it
there.
as fast as we possibly can, and you've
Okay,
already had
okay.
the rules
We're on
that
the loop.
required that to be done before the Friday. Or by Friday at business,
Supervisor Hewitt, I was just letting you know, it's a lot to expect for you to get it done.
and
by that
you
fast, so
expect
it's
more
okay.
and more, and that's okay.
I'm not
Okay, so
expecting
then,
more. I'm giving- okay,
yes,
move along.
you are.
Okay, move along.
Okay, then, moving on, any other discussion? On when to have police at the meetings and when not to? Okay, then, agenda item 18, discussion and possible action on where to have meetings.
We're here in the board, I'm not understanding where this question came from. Who did it come from? We have our meetings here in the boardroom. I know it was discussed if possible that we would have them at the police station if necessary, but we've gone through this, that we can't do that now.
So it was again brought up at the last meeting. I wanted to make sure that you all had proper time and enough time to discuss what you all wish to do with when and where to have the meeting. So do you all, again, we've had this a few times, discussion. You all are good having the meetings here.
Yeah, unless we have a bigger.
If we need a bigger room, then we'll know ahead of time and we'll get a bigger room.
What's the possibility of using the community room in Park District?
The time.
They usually close at what, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
Oh, we don't,
It was
our
just
meeting
like-
started at
okay,
7:30.
sorry.
Shame
Okay,
on
sorry.
us.
So-
Okay, next.
Maybe okay with earlier.
We can change it. I'd love a 6 o'clock meeting and an 8 o'clock end. Okay, moving on. Agenda item 19. Discussion and possible action on a no confidence vote for the supervisor.
There's no great pleasure that comes with coming to this decision. And I know that everyone here has really strong feelings one way or the other about us coming to this conclusion. It doesn't feel good. This is not fun to have to come up with this resolution and bring these points to you today. I think you have seen a little peek into some of the things that we've had challenges with. But I'm going to go ahead and they're going to be more fully described to you in this resolution.
I don't think the trustees have.
Thank you. Resolution 2023-27. A resolution of the Lisle Township Board of Trustees declaring that it has no confidence that Diane Hewitt can competently perform the duties of Lisle Township Supervisor. Whereas Lisle Township, the township, is an Illinois local government created and existing under the Illinois Township Code 60 ILCS 1/1-1 ET. Whereas a vote of no confidence is an alternative method to bring forth serious concerns of public officials. And whereas the Lisle Township trustees, clerk, assessor, and highway commissioner have observed Township Supervisor Diane Hewitt take repeated actions that are not in the best interest of the township and its residents. And whereas the supervisor has shown a lack of leadership and integrity by the following: drafting an alternative appropriations of ordinance with adjustments not discussed with nor approved by the township's finance committee, failing to uphold decorum and foster respect among the participants at board meetings, failing to address problems concerning the Lisle Transit Program after repeated requests, failing to make any preparations for the Stamp Out Hunger event food drive despite knowledge of the event, interfering in grant viability requests initiated by the township board, negligently protecting privileged and confidential township information by displacing the township clerk and limiting her access to township records, reassigning the clerk's office without approval of the township clerk or township board, causing the township clerk to have to relocate offsite, and refusing to allow the clerk possession or access to township records the clerk is required and authorized to have custody of by law, making it difficult for the clerk to perform her job, and stonewalling and failing to directly and honestly answer questions posed by other township officials at township board meetings, and making false claims of ageism allegations in the township with no basis or foundation. And deny multiple requests by and direction from the township board for a security presence at board meetings despite escalating tensions. And whereas the supervisor has shown a lack of competence to properly manage township finances and personnel by the following: making spending decisions that exceed the township's budgets without prior board approval, and hiring 3 administrative personnel without board approval, which exceeded the approved township personnel budget, and disregarding the board's explicit directives to not hire additional personnel during budget development, and signing and filing a tax levy to DuPage County that failed to comply with the Truth in Taxation Illinois law, and repeatedly issuing unaudited, unapproved, and out-of-cycle checks for the township and road district, which had not been reviewed or approved by the township board and or highway commissioner in accordance with the law, and authorizing and approving checks to herself, overpaying herself as supervisor, as well as making duplicate payments to herself and her significant other, and failing to promptly address and resolve persistent and crucial financial matters, and failing to hire competent professionals with experience in township finance and township law to advise the township, and failing to enact time-sensitive directives by the board leading to additional costs for the taxpayers, and refusing to inform the board of financial issues and fines, and creating such disruptive, unstable work environment that almost a dozen township employees have quit since the supervisor took office. Failing to promptly hire replacement personnel for financial management and food pantry operations, which led to considerable expenditures on external consulting services for subsequent fiscal years. And whereas the supervisor has shown a lack in communication, collaboration skills, and professionalism by making verbal attacks, including growling at staff members and board members, and convening staff meetings in a way to create division and a sense of apprehension, and deliberately avoiding necessary communication with key township staff members, such as the executive administrative assistant to the supervisor, the bookkeeper, and the contracted accountant, and disseminating falsehoods to the public relating to budget decisions and misrepresenting the township's position, providing false and misleading information to the public, DuPage County board members, and other elected officials related to funding for the Lisle Township Food Pantry, and refusing to collaborate or communicate with the township trustees, clerk, assessor, or highway commissioner, and creating a general climate of mistrust and hostility within the township by enabling and condoning others' inappropriate actions. And whereas the Lisle Township has become a mockery in DuPage County because of the gross incompetence and mismanagement of Diane Hewitt, and whereas the Lisle Township's elected officials, including the clerk, trustees, assessor, and highway commissioner, no longer have confidence that Diane Hewitt can competently, ethically, or responsibly perform her duties as township supervisor, and wishes to publicly declare a vote of no confidence in the supervisor, and whereas in the best interest of the Lisle Township for Diane Hewitt to resign from the office of Lisle Township Supervisor. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Lisle Township, DuPage County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, the above recitals are incorporated into the resolution by reference. Section 2, the Lisle Township Board hereby publicly expresses that it has no confidence in Diane Hewitt to competently perform her duties as the Lisle Township Supervisor. Section 3, the Lisle Township Board finds it is in the best interest of the township for Diane Hewitt to resign immediately from her office as Lisle Township Supervisor, and therefore requests that Diane Hewitt resigns immediately. Section 4, this resolution shall be in full force and effect following its passage and approval as required by law. Passed by the Lisle Township Board on August 9th, 2023 on a roll call vote of as follows. Ayes. I need a, okay, so you want to make it? Motion?
So, I am
To
the
pass the resolution?
supervisor, and so would we like to have a first? And so it sounds like trustee Geist is the first, a second,
Second.
and then any more discussion? And then a roll call vote.
Trustee Geist.
Yes.
Trustee McGovern.
Yes.
Trustee Page.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
No. The motion passes. And Attorney Wysocki, what kind of legal enforcement does this have? I just want to make sure that that's clarified.
This, I mean, I don't know what you're asking. This is a resolution of the board. A
Mhm.
resolution is expressing their opinions.
Mhm.
They've asked. Request that you resign,
Mhm.
but it's a request.
Mhm.
That's all. I mean, I can
Right,
read it. So.
totally. So, great, and the motion passes.
So with
Next,
that, I think it was
we
the
have-
highest form of, a no confidence is the highest.
So
form.
again, Clerk Powlitz, you're now being recognized without raising your hand. Is there a motion that you have? Is there anything else that you have to say
Well,
after the vote has been called?
There's a first and second. Is this discussion?
she
It's
wasn't.
already been voted,
But
so
you
then,
started talking. so
well,
I
actually,
thought-
you did.
No, actually, you asked Attorney Wysocki a question
Right.
discussing it, so I thought we were going out of, so I apologize. So, bottom line is. I
Okay,
think-
so we've already done
okay,
that.
so it's fine. We just, did the highest vote of no confidence, the highest thing that we could do to distance ourselves from what is
Thank you,
happening.
Clerk Powlitz.
But I
Okay,
wasn't
then.
done and.
You didn't have a motion and there wasn't anything there. Report from the Finance Committee, sir.
Yeah, so I developed, after the budget discussion, I got a number of emails from constituents, residents. And I responded to each one of them. And there was a lot of confusion about what had been approved and what had not been approved. So a number of folks were saying, why won't you fund the mental health board? Why are you cutting funding to the food pantry? Why are you cutting funding for general assistance? So as I responded to all those, I thought I would like to put together and I got input from the other trustees. We went through a very thoughtful process. And the document speaks to that. I'm probably on the 3-minute clock, right? I should be. I don't want to read it in detail. It is posted in the board packet. Three things that we really want to highlight. There were several things. We did not have the NIU survey and future planning study, which was meant to provide input. And actually, after we met with the NIU folks, they said, you're pretty well doing everything that the other townships are doing. You're not Hanover Township, but nobody is, except Hanover Township. And what you should really focus on is coordinating services across what's available to Page County, the Village of Lisle, other services in the area. So focus on, don't duplicate, do what you do well, find opportunities to expand, but make sure you leverage what's available to the community. So that was one of the things. The NIU study was not available, but we will incorporate that in our discussion on Friday. Township budget does include a one-time loan to the mental health board. There are budgeted increases for PACE transportation, demonstrating commitment to our senior residents. I'm going to speak personally, but I think a number of us are concerned about where is the momentum with that program? Where are we getting the ridership that we need to support the funding for that program, much less the staffing that we might need to bring on for a second driver? I do want to point out that the supervisor office consulting expenses for human resources, legal, and accounting budgeted to increase by 32.3% from last year. And it significantly exceeds historical levels for outside consulting. So I think we're relying a lot on outside folks. We've got to look at that. Planned investments for 2023 for capital improvements in the food pantry and the food and potentially solar panels, other improvements. That's all depending on grant funding. That's the way we structured the budget, and we're just not sure what the status of that grant funding is. Want to talk about personnel, because I think people keep saying $175,000, $175 cut. There was no cut. Okay. If you look at it, the supervisor has more money this year than she had last year, and she has 33% more than she spent last year, but it's not in personnel. And that's for a very good reason, because we want to see how the personnel are going to deliver the services that we need. We had 4 full-time employees and 6 part-time employees at this time last year. When we came to the budget process, we were up to 8 full-time employees and 6 part-time. And there were still gaps. In the finance department, lead resigned in September, and that role was bounced around for a while, and we're still dependent on an outside resource. So that has cost us at least $75,000 in outside consulting to continue to get the books, the bills paid. The food pantry left, the food pantry lead left, and a part-time resource left. So we finally got to that was back. I think I misspoke. I think that was in February. We had to reassign personnel from the transportation department. That was costing money and it delayed the implementation of transportation. So we want to talk about what are the key services we provide here. One is making sure our bills get paid, and the other is the food pantry. And those were the last hires that we have. And we hired 3 administrative people. So if you were talking to the CEO of your company, you said, I have 4 people, I'm going to hire 3 more, and they're all going to be in administrative functions. You think that would fly? I mean, that's really what we're trying to question. What are we trying to do here? So am I on my clock? I'm on my clock.
We can make a motion extending time.
No, it's okay. You can all read as well as I can. If you look at the budget lines, I said the supervisor had 33% greater than what her actual expenses were last year. So we didn't cut her budget. Assessors budget's fundamentally flat. Elected officials flat. Pace and transportation, huge bump. You know, we had $125,000 budgeted. We spent $47,000. We budgeted $140,000. Capital improvements, we budgeted $508,000, depending on grant funding. And we did amend this after the approval to buy it from the town hall to buy the building. 1.8 million was added in there. Mental health board funding, 75,900. General assistance budget is up 9% from last year, 10.8% from last year, from last year's actuals. Township fund, we will have a draw on our township fund. Partly because of the funding of the building, but the fund, it's going to be a draw of like 2.3 million for the building, plus the fund to GA. We only have $39,000 in our GA, and our budget is 267,000. So we're gonna have to draw from Fund 10 to fund that. So those are the things that we're trying to deal. I want to make sure that information is out there. You're welcome to send me emails, you're welcome to call me, but those are the numbers, right? We are not cutting the budget. We are trying to be responsible, and we're trying to make sure that we understand what the services we want to deliver, what are the personnel we need to deliver them, and how can we make sure that we're being mindful and respectful of your dollars that you've already spent and you continue to spend. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you, Trustee Robinson. That was really well articulated. I just hope that they're actually.
The only thing I will thank you. The only thing I will mention is that we will have to revise the budget. There's no question, because we're not going to be paying rent. We're going to be getting revenue. I would propose that we do a 6-month reassessment, realignment of the budget. That'll give us, after the building's bought, we'll have to look at insurance, we'll have to look at, facilities management, we'll have to look at different elements of it. So I would propose that we have a revised budget in the end of June, end of September timeframe. And we schedule time for that. We're gonna have some more personnel discussions, I know, on Friday. And maybe we can come to an agreement as to what the right level of personnel and the right skills that we need for the services we're doing.
Yeah,
agreed.
That's really what we want to get to.
Excellent. I hope that's more clear, because people are still sending messages that are cutting. So it's just really hard.
So to be super clear, we had in our last meeting said that on September 5th, we would come back and talk about, or September 6th, we would come back and have a budget meeting. Are you proposing that we change that?
Yeah, because I think it's based on the fact that we making a purchase.
Yes, and
Don't we have 60 days?
and they want that as soon as possible. Am I correct, Assessor Trowbridge? So September 6th is when they wish the budget to be amended, and we're starting to advertise that. So are you looking to change that date?
No. So sorry if I wasn't clear. We have to change the budget because we have 1.8, we need to spend $1.8 million, but been approved by the town. We made one budget line change in the budget that we want to get approved on September 6th. That is the 1.8 million. There will be a subsequent budget after we understand what the costs of the building are going to be.
After
Oh, so you're gonna
after
make,
we're in the building.
okay,
That's how I-
so we're gonna do multiple amendments of the budget.
That's
So
not
this first
multiple.
amendment, I'm just trying to make sure that the public is aware. So
They
this
should know that
first,
we made multiple amendments every time you overspent the last 2 years. So I don't think that.
That's
this is
not
for good
true.
reason.
trustee guys, we did one amendment in the last year. So September 6th is gonna be the first amended budget, and then you plan that some other time in the future, there would be another amended budget. So
Right.
there'd be 2 amended budgets.
Yes.
Okay,
Is
just want to make sure that's clear.
But it's not multiple, that's two.
That would be multiple. More than one is multiple.
We're not going to circle today.
Okay, so making sure that we're clear on that. Any other questions for trustee Robinson?
I have a question on, can your report be published on
Yeah.
social media, on the website?
It's already there?
It's already there?
It's on the board packet.
No. we're
Well,
saying you
I'm
put that
talking
on
social media,
Yeah. Or
Just
can
to
you
get
just
word-
email it to us, we'll put it on our pages.
because I appreciate you answering all of the calls you're fielding, but to get the word out a little bit further, I think would be a really good goal for
And
us.
clarify the misinformation.
Bye-bye.
Okay, any other old business?
No, my two questions were answered.
And new business? Reports of elected officials. So Assessor Trowbridge,
Just as it relates to the transaction of 2121 Ogden Avenue, the previous buyer that we had in 68 had done a phase one and an appraisal. We had our attorney talk with them. They would make those available to us. They are $2,500 and $2,250 respectively. He strongly recommends, highly recommends the phase one report. That's the $2,500 one. The appraisal, he's not as he's not necessarily recommending it, but he's not recommending the strongly that was phase one. So whatever your directive is, I will ask him to.
The phase one is environmental.
Phase one's environmental. It's he's basically saying it's not, it's critical. The appraisal is not quite as critical. So really decide what you'd like us to go back and maybe counter those numbers that they paid for that.
So they want us to reimburse them for what they paid. This is to make them whole, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So can it be put into the purchase price or do we have to deal? No,
No,
No.
the purchase price would go to the sellers. This would
is for
be
the
for
third.
the old buyer. It's not that they're requesting, this is due diligence that we would want to know.
We would have to pay,
You
like,
know?
if we were the first offer on the building, we would be paying this. right?
Correct.
So we'd be paying it no matter what.
Right,
It could be just distributed as third party distribution in the closing, but it would be very difficult for them to openly give us those reports without having to get cash.
Is that dollar amount negotiable?
I would imagine that it could be.
I mean, you don't ask the question, the answer is always no.
so we would need to township would fund pay indirectly, what is being suggested.
Yes.
But maybe we could ask them for. To give us those reports for a better.
Whatever is the fire.
are you suggesting it could be on the closing statement? Is that what you were suggesting and paid out there?
I don't think it's, you're asking them for those reports. Beforehand, for actually getting paid with the hope that they would give a distribution at the closing, which I just don't think that they would be very amenable to that.
So what's the best way? Is that something you're comfortable doing?
I personally would, my recommendation would be to have the attorney
Oh, okay.
give the directive to the attorney and have them handle it.
The real estate attorney. Thank you.
So we don't need to approve. Do we need to prove that we want to reimburse it? I think of what you're asking, right? Okay. The mechanics of it, you think the local attorney on the real estate side can address.
So is this, we need a motion for this?
But can you?
No, because it's not on the agenda, but it could be,
We add to the sixth, agenda the sixth.
it can be added to the next agenda. It's well within the time of closing, meaning that the next time that we're gonna be meeting is,
If you gave us a directive, I could contact the attorney, have him contact and let them know what the mood is of the trustees as to where to go. The actual distribution of the check could be at a later.
It can't be Friday.
No.
Because it's already 10:30 on Wednesday.
Let's.
It's
Just do the next, well, the next board meeting.
Yep. Fine.
Right, okay.
the next board meeting is gonna be after the budget passing,
Understand, but
Okay.
that's before closing. I would
Yep.
imagine.
or very likely, or we could have it at the next budget meeting, but it could be next time. Any other concerns, Assessor Trowbridge
That's it, thank you.
and Trustee Geist?
I mean, my report is the resolution, it's a bipartisan resolution by the entire board, so. That's the only report I have.
Thank you, Trustee Geist. Trustee McGovern,
Nothing to report at this time.
Trustee Page,
Just that the garden is producing produce amazingly, that we reached almost 500 pounds. I was there this morning harvesting with my harvest partner, and we harvested 53.5 pounds just today. So, and Friday's harvest is gonna be just as big. It's amazing. So garden is doing just fantastic.
thank you, Trustee Page. Trustee Robinson,
I'll just mention that the board, meeting rules were updated, as per guidance in the last board meeting. The first was on page 1, general provisions to just simply state that the Lisle Township Board should be comprised of the Lisle Township Supervisor, the Lisle Township Trustees elected or appointed, the Lisle Township Assessor, and the Lisle Township Clerk. That was one change on page 1. The other change was on page 14, where we added in, under guidance from the board, we added in section C, which says the supervisor's reports, accountant's report, and staff reports shall limit their remarks to no more than 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the supervisor or by a majority vote of the township board. That was voted on and approved in the last meeting. I just want to say that those changes have been made and it's been published up on the website. That's all I have. Thank you.
thank you, Trustee Robinson. Clerk Collins, do you have anything? Nora?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bounce off of what trustee guys said with the resolution. That this was bipartisan, like I was trying to say before, this is the strongest message that can be given to you, Supervisor Hewitt. I am so hopeful that you read this and really take it in. There are some things in there that are truly disturbing. Everything is absolutely true. And we can't go on this way. We need you to really step it up or resign. And the resignation has been asked for. And I hope you take that really seriously, that the board that you're working with has given you a vote of no confidence, that they are not trusting what you're doing for the taxpayers. This is the taxpayers' money. This is the taxpayers' government. And you're in charge. And we're not feeling confidence that you are able and willing to do this properly.
And I would also like to add that the state's attorney's
Excuse
office.
me.
I'll
Excuse me.
refuse to speak to the state's attorney's office
Excuse me.
about the investigation. That's
Excuse me, it's Clerk Collins this time. Do you have anything else?
I'll
Clerk Collins?
turn my time over to trustee guys if she'd like to say more.
I just wanted to add, I wanted to just add to what you had said. The state's attorney's office has attempted to speak to Supervisor Hewitt on 2 occasions. Both times she has declined to speak to them. The second time she told them that she was advised not to speak to them without an attorney by her attorney, but was not able to designate or give the name of who her attorney was.
Reflects on my bond.
Any other reports from elected officials? Okay, then, moving on to review of and approval of minutes, July 12th.
We had some changes. We can't approve them exactly. Like, did anybody happen to write down what the?
Seriously,
Yeah,
No, there was some grammatical.
yeah. and
I don't
and a
know how you
few of
would like
them.
to handle that, but I can pull it off of the tape. Or we could just leave
To the
them
table this, we
go
could approve them on Friday. Okay, or the
On
next
the agenda.
meeting. Okay, well,
the next meeting.
we're not a voting.
Should- will be
Sorry.
fine.
Yeah.
Was she only speaking to the two A and B? What about the personnel committee? I did not catch where. If there was anything with the personnel committee.
So the first one was July 12th. Just to be super clear, is that what we're talking about? July
I
12th,
don't know
2023?
exactly. I couldn't really write what she was saying down. So my only question is, was it only with the township special and regular meeting? Or
Okay.
was it?
So actually, we're on July 12th. Is there a motion from a trustee? Because we need to
Okay.
make sure that we're doing this properly. Is there a motion from a trustee for July 12th to either approve or accept or to table?
Well, we can't approve because it was pointed out that there are errors in the minutes, and so we can't approve something that has errors in it that we're not aware of what the errors are, so
We're gonna table it, is what you're saying,
I
trustee?
guess I will make a motion to. I'll make a motion to table the July 12th, 2023. Lisle Township meeting minutes, that's July 18th, NIU governmental study, long-term and short-term planning meeting minutes. The June 9th, 2023 personnel committee meeting minutes, and July 6th personnel committee meeting minutes.
Okay, that was a second from trustee McGovern.
And so like,
Oh, trustee Geis.
I don't have the July 6th. I have June 9th, July 18th, and July 12th. I do not have minutes here for July 6th.
you
Thank you. So,
Okay, but the motion is to table all the minutes.
yep, table, we don't have July. That's.
And it was seconded by trustee Geis. Any other discussion?
You want to amend your motion to include July 6th?
I think you did.
Or did you?
I did. I just said that I didn't have it in front of me, and now I do.
All the minutes are being tabled. Currently, July 12th, July 18th, June 9th, July 6th. And a second by trustee Geis. Any other discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Page,
Yes.
trustee Dice, trustee McGovern,
Yes.
trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Supervisor Hewitt.
Yes. Okay, then next is executive session, if there is one.
Please don't, we do not leave this room until we sign.
Correct.
Right? Don't even adjourn until we sign.
Yeah, I would make it do.
We did.
And then
Did we ever approve the audit of expenditures? No.
Yes,
We did.
Yeah.
But we haven't signed it. Okay,
it's right
but
here.
are we? No, we sign it when we approve it, right? Okay. just checking.
But we have to sign it before we adjourn, correct?
No.
Oh, that doesn't
Just
matter?
no,
Okay.
Don't leave them.
And do we-
Yeah, sign it today. Wait,
And the German does
Sure.
not need a time.
we did agree to the,
Only the adjournment from closed session.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Sorry,
So-
so no executive session, right?
I think she's still thinking.
Okay, so no executive session?
Is there-
I don't see any.
We don't see a reason to go into executive session to review it, but if you would like to go into executive session, just to discuss with us the resolution, we would be happy to do that to accommodate. It's up to you.
there's
Under what?
nothing that would be possibly potential for such a thing.
Okay. perfect.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
McGovern.
Thank you, trustee McGovern and trustee Page. Any other discussion?
Don't leave.
Not leaving.
Don't leave.
And then all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
I have the time, okay.